The state of Shonen Jump. Before I take down the webcam for this video, I want to touch on two real big things here. Subathon over on Twitch this week and next. This will allow for you to have your, whole game or your whole series up here. That's why I've got the shape. You'll have the nice little avatar over there. The whole goal for this is upgrading the GPU. We have a video talking about some sub goals. Monday is going to be Manga Monday. We're going to be reading some more Fire Force, trying to wrap that series up. And we're going to be mostly every day for the next 2 weeks doing 2 hours a day. A couple days might be less because I have appointments from, this whole surgery thing. But the whole goal is to upgrade the GPU. 5 subs, you get a maid outfit punishment stream, 10 episodes. Whoever, or 10 subscriptions. We're not editing this. 10 subscriptions we're going to be doing. Whatever that 10th person that subscribes is going to be recommending a game, a series, something to watch. Going to say it again this video, like I did the podcast before this. No NSFW games. No Fuda Dick and Dash. No Finboy Bangers. No Cherry VX. Ann Arbor, I'm looking at you. Because I know some of our subscriber base is going to recommend a hentai game because I portray the hentai devil. As funny as that is, I can't get away with it on Twitch. That's very, very TOS. That will put all of it into jeopardy. I would not be opposed to be playing one of those games inside Discord, though. At every 10th subscription, we'll do another game or series you guys have recommended. We'll check out a couple chapters of it or play the game. I already have a couple that I owe to previous subscribers or Point Redemption. I know I got to play through Digimon Survive, which I was already going to anyway. World of Final Fantasy, and then there's a Fight of the Gods day that Zangetsu had requested. So we'll be getting through those. And then slowly after this next 2 weeks of subathons wrap up, we can get back to our regular Twitch content. I will, at 100 subscribers, read through the entirety of My Hero Academia. You can watch me suffer. Make me suffer. I am welcoming that. So, yeah. Also, on the Monday stream, we're going to be taste testing a drink from my childhood that came back. Thank you, Mountain Dew, for bringing it back. Although it was a limited time supply, I got my hands on 6 cans of it. We're going to try it. And then that will probably be devoured out of our fucking refrigerator after that. That being said, this is going to be a quarterly series. Every quarter we're going to be revisiting this particular topic and see what the state of Shonen Jump is. So with that, I'm going to kill this webcam before it overheats. Take it away, guys.
Alright, so it's a good job we're doing this today because we've just had the announcement potential rumors of a series looks like it's about to wrap up, which as soon as they started talking about a particular affair, I was like, yeah, it looks like we're reaching the end game, which is Duran Duran. So yeah, that's a series that started off with potential because I did like the concept, and the characters were very, very fun, particularly the 2 main characters, and just the fact that one of them had the ability to shapeshift into any item that they wanted. So there was a lot of jokes of just like merchandise galore here, merchandise galore. But it started to get stale towards where we are right now. And yeah, when they were announcing oh, if we kill all the Mononoke, if we kill the boss of the Mononoke, all of them will go back to their world. I'm just thinking yeah, it's looking like it's about to wrap up. And the funny thing about it is that it had what I think Vex, Red, and pretty much myself like to call the Taiju Effect.
Oh, God.
Because you had one character in Duran Duran who, for I don't think people really took to them, so literally written out of the series. And there was a gag that I had for weeks just saying, where is this character? Kind of like the Where's Waldo gag.
Oh
And only
god.
recently they just came back. I'm just like, oh, there they are. So my gag ends.
So I have not had the pleasure of reading this series. It was one that I was going to read at some point, right? And then I just never did. But I've heard a lot of this like having the Taiju effect kind of thing, and I'm just like, okay, that kind of makes sense. A lot of these series now are having that, you know, character that everybody hates or drives them away kind of thing, but at the same time you have the fucking character kind of going away
Yeah.
and coming back. Did you ever watch the dub of Dr. Stone, Luke?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So you
Of course Luke did. It's Dr. Stone.
It's Dr. Stone. I
honestly thought you watched the sub, okay?
No, I gave them both a chance. The dub for Dr. Stone is okay.
It's okay once you get past those initial few episodes, but tell me the dub for Taiju and the sub for Asta in those first few episodes don't line up in annoyingness.
Oh yeah, they do. You wanna know what's funny? I can't remember where this was from. But somebody said at one point that the dub actor for Taiju, his favorite line was like the "Hold on, Senku, she's naked."
Of course it was.
But yeah, when Taiju in the beginning is like, I'm finally free, I can move my body. I'm just like, oh, okay, Taiju, calm down, buddy.
Right, and
he's happy to be able to.
Yeah, but okay, you gotta calm down.
He's happy to come and try and come inside Yuzuriha. But no, like that's the thing. Like that initial declaration, right, gave me the same vibe as the "I'm going to be the Wizard King," energy from the sub of Black Clover, and I thought this could be detrimental to the popularity of it. And then as you go down because I watched the whole dub with my ex. Ironically.
Okay.
It got better.
What did they think of it? Like of Dr. Stone in general?
They liked the series, the themes. I don't know if they kept with it after I left them. But they very much hated Taiju as a character. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking common, honestly. He's not the liked protagonist. That's why they went to Senku.
Yeah, it's crazy because looking back on Taiju, like, because I'm revisiting the chapters because I'm doing like a backlog of the chapters. There are actually moments of intelligence. Like people say that Taiju is not the smartest tool in the shed, and he isn't. But there are moments where he's like relatively intelligent, like when he suggests like, oh, we'll use grapes because wine comes from grapes, and even Senku acknowledges that.
Yeah, I mean he's not incredibly intelligent, but he's also not stupid.
He's not. I like to because I apologize to people who like this character, but he's not on Magma's level of stupidity.
No, he's not.
Or Yo.
Oh yeah. Oh yo. Yo.
No, but like the whole reason we bring up like the Taiju effect is it was the same feeling for those two characters, from what I'm getting at.
Yeah, can I just say something before I forget? Yeah, and also looking back on the chapters, it's pretty obvious. Like a lot of people think like, oh, Taiju was going to be the main character, but looking at the end of the first chapter of Dr. Stone, it's pretty obvious who they're setting up to be the main character at that point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Senku was always meant to be the main protagonist.
Yeah, because because
feel like the only reason people said they felt Taiju was supposed to be the main pro tag is because Taiju does have like a lot of the shonen pro tag trope stuff, like with the very similar to like Luffy and Asta and all them. He's hot-headed, headstrong, thinks with his back and not with his works with his back and not with his brain.
yeah,
Relatively smart, but not but has other people that do the thinking for him. Like, I feel like Senku was always meant to be the protagonist.
yeah, because you get that impression right early on, like literally at the end of the first chapter, and then when Tsukasa comes in, it's pretty obvious at that point.
Oh yeah. So the next big one that I want to dive into, because I'm pulling up Jump here, is Ayakashi Triangle. Can we explain why we're doing this? I feel like we should explain why we're doing this video series.
Yeah.
So
and I've got the list of what's currently in Jump Up at the moment.
you want to go through that list, and I'll be right back, and we can explain the whole purpose of this.
Okay, so
grab me a lighter.
What we've got in the main magazine, because obviously we've got Chainsaw Man and Ayakashi Triangle, which we could technically count because they were both technically in the magazine, so we'll count them. But we've also got Sakamoto Days, One Piece, My Hero, Akane, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, Witch Watch, Me and Roboco, Blue Box, Elusive Samurai, Undead Unluck, PPPPP, High School Family, Mashle, Mission Yosakura Family, Super Smartphone, Aliens Reader, Duran Duran, and Earthchild. And there's meant to be a couple of series starting soon, and we know that Duran Duran is potentially on its way out. I can very easily see Earthchild going out as well because it's been at the bottom for a while. People are very unanimously saying that it's not one of the best series out there, and I only read the first chapter. It wasn't for me, and to be honest, all right, and to be honest, the first chapter it was basically it was pretty much a one shot. That's what the first chapter was. It was a one shot. I did not keep up with it, and then when Party Jams explained to me what was happening in the series, I was like, what? What the hell?
Oh, we're talking about Earthchild here?
Earthchild, yeah, because...
Is it bad that I knew exactly what you were talking about with zero context because my headphones were plugged into my mic?
Yeah, because I'm looking at the latest one before Jump went on break last week. Earthchild was at the bottom.
That makes sense. I honestly feel like that will be the next one to Axe, and I kind of wish Party Jams could be in here with us, because I think he stuck with it, didn't he?
He stuck with it, and he pretty much ranted about it at one point.
I remember.
It was
you
hilarious.
Sent me that when you were doing those streams with him, like you sent me that. I'm like, oh, he really don't like this series.
He really doesn't like it, and also he really didn't like one point in Undead Unluck where it was something to do with Ragnarok happening in Undead Unluck, and he was trying to scientifically explain it, and One Smart was arguing with him, and I'm just gonna say it right now. One of the last chapters of Mission Yosakura Family, where you have Kai and Creature arguing about stories and that. I'm like, that reminded me of One Smart and Pie Jobs arguing about Undead Unluck.
There are so many better series to argue about too. Like, goddamn. I
honestly,
really
just
want
from
that
Earthchild, I only have one word.
What?
I read the first chapter off screen, and because everybody's like, I should read the first chapter and do my thoughts on it. I'm like, I have no thoughts, just like the author.
Yeah, it's clear after the first chapter, they really had nowhere to go with it. It was basically like if I know I love the series, but I have to call it out. Like it was basically like once the Escape from Gracefield in Promised Neverland happened, it was like, what do we do now? And they needed kind of like a while to figure stuff out.
So we had the Forest arc and the Musica and Sungju arc. Oh, remember when Musica and Sungju came back to the series to do fucking nothing?
Well, to be fair, Muchika did have a purpose in the series when she came back.
The bad blood, yeah, but like
No, I was gonna say she was basically the Jesus of Promised Neverland.
Yeah.
At least Goldie Pond was pretty cool.
A lot of people. That's the thing. That's the thing that that I believe shocked you the most, Vex, of just how many people love the Goldie Pond arc.
As a manga. I hated it as a manga. It would have worked so much better animated. Because you could see that there were meticulous set pieces, but it just did not translate well with Pozaku's art style, right?
Yeah.
They are a surrealist artist. They like drawing bizarre shit. Drawing a Pandora's box of weapons there for, what was her name, Jillian, to utilize like fucking Tintin. Did not translate well for their art style. But if it would have been animated, it would have been like this really cool, intricate scene.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the battle with Lewis the battle with Lewis in Promised Neverland was just basically red flag of just animate me now.
And they didn't.
No, it was a gacha game. It was a fucking gacha game.
Can I just ask a question quickly? Would you describe Chainsaw Man's art style as surreal?
Yeah. And it's very...
I feel like a lot of the stuff I look at while reading Chainsaw Man is surreal, so yeah.
Yeah. What's your opinion on the anime trying to go for realism with it?
Go for it. I don't give a shit. As long as it's well animated, and I know where you're going with this argument.
You know where I'm going with this.
I wanna unwrap this can of worms.
I'm not gonna mention their name.
I don't give a fuck.
All right. Okay.
So to clarify, there's a content creator by the name of Packer Girl that's been going on a rant about multiple things. But mostly now saying that Fujimoto wouldn't approve the art being taken from surreal to realism when the man has clear and direct input as stated in the fucking production of the anime. And they're like, that's lies, that's slander, touch grass, plus grace.
Yeah. Also, as well, going crazy over basically the
They shit out, 4 videos on the 3-minute trailer alone?
Yeah, and going off of just like the most pickiest of pickiest things, like there's not enough bands on Aki's head, the blood is too thick. It's like, what?
First of all, I don't know about you, but we're 17 minutes in. Ever get cut? Blood is pretty thick. I had to make sure we were far enough into the video because I was away for a good like 2 minutes to say anything violent in any regard. But
how the fuck is getting a paper cut violent?
The word cut could be taken as like a self-harm thing, I guess.
Fair enough, but like...
And
it's
also...
very, very stupid. The reason I'm bringing that up is because there's a new way that you have to declare for monetization. So if you monetize a video, like the podcast being the only thing that's really monetized on the channel other than the Chainsaw Man reviews for part 1, and then any of the solo stream archive shit is monetized because I'm the one making the content there. But those guidelines take a grade of like violence and political themes, and I'm not even attempting to monetize the last podcast we filmed.
Yeah,
because that's like a high levels of political talk, and it'll just get immediately age gated. I'm just gonna leave it unmonetized so it gets full effect. But like, no, those types of things are now all baked into the monetization on the back end of YouTube, on the creator studio side of things that you guys, the viewer, cannot see. So, like, the rule of thumb for YouTube is, like, after 10 minutes, nobody really fucking cares. You know, that's when, like, the bot allegedly stops fucking picking up anything when they scan it for monetization purposes. I know that's fully bullshit. It's fully bullshit. The bot fucking scans your whole thing. But that first minute in particular has to be the most sanitized bullshit on the planet to get any form of monetization, too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But explaining YouTube analytic bullshit and a podcast about the state of Shonen Jump. It's the most controlled chaos thing ever.
Yeah.
Point being,
but
like,
go
this
ahead.
particular content creator was making those types of videos and complaining about those, every little microcosm of shit that was wrong to her.
Yeah,
And,
and also as well, just this will be my last thing I'll say about her. Whenever she said like, I'm not sponsored by Shueisha, not sponsored by Fist, not sponsored by Manga Plus, and it's kind of crazy considering I promote Manga Plus on the channel, and I'm just there looking at her videos and thinking like, okay, you're not sponsored by Manga Plus,
and you're using the full art panel for the thumbnail.
It's not that.
Not filtered, not, with any sort of logo, not with any sort of art direction, not with anything on it. And it's from a scanlation site, too.
Yes! And I'm just there
Because the fucking water... She didn't cut the watermark off of the one you tagged me in, right?
Yeah. And I'm just there asking her, like, look, I'm saying it to her, look, this is why you're not sponsored.
Right. Also,
sponsor
they don't sponsor people that no filter, no effort shit. They're not going to be like, oh, you have... I've never seen the person's channel. I just saw the thumbnail. I'm not going to give them...
All she does is just do reaction. She'll literally sit there, read the chapter.
So she King of Lightning's it.
Pardon?
She King of Lightning's her content, basically.
Yeah. Basically, like she'll just sit there, read the chapter. It's basically reaction, and she'll make little commentaries.
Like what I do on Twitch for Manga Monday.
Oh yeah, for Manga Monday.
That kind of thing isn't like a necessarily bad thing. Like I think King of Lightning does it pretty.
Oh no, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just when
it's just the no efforting of the thumbnail and then complaining about the fact that she's not getting sponsored, while also pirating.
King of Lightning has some. Okay, I wouldn't say elaborate thumbnails, but I'd say like he puts effort into it.
Hell,
I'm not Professor Tyler of Thumbnailology 101. Because
our thumbnails are very fucking basic on this channel too. I'm not saying that like they need to be elaborate, but it's very much like the fact that you leave the site that you scanned the fucking thing from in there, like the whole fucking watermark, and two, you're over here complaining about not getting sponsored while leaving the thumbnail as just a full, like, here is a white manga panel.
Yeah. At least with me, it's like I do the very basic bare minimum.
Yeah, you thumbnail, you filter it, you throw your avatar up there, you do stuff like that. Like even Tyler, when you did manga content, like you arguably put more effort into your thumbnails than she does because you weren't pirating it and then complaining about pirating and not getting sponsored. That's the big thing for me. Like, you can have the most basic thumbnail and get a lot of reach, or you can have the most elaborate thumbnail and get a lot of reach. But don't complain about the company not sponsoring you, even if you're shilling for them. Like, I shilled in the last podcast, like, the Epic Creator Code. We're not sponsored by Epic, but when you use that code, we get a kickback.
Yeah.
There's different levels of those types of things. Like the affiliateship we have with Kill the Crooks. We're not sponsored by them. We're their affiliates. We get a kickback whenever you use Kontrolled Khaos. I think it's like 15% we get back every time somebody uses that code. I think it's like 25 from Epic. I haven't checked the creator fund in like 3 months. But like those types of things are very different than a full-on sponsorship. Like, here we will pay you to read your this content kind of thing. You have to make your way up in those types of ladders before you even get that kind of kickback. But are we going to talk about Ayakashi Triangle in this whole thing? Because it's still technically Jump, but it's not in the Jump app.
Well, it was in the magazine for 2 years. It's the same thing, I think, why we can talk about Chainsaw Man, because they technically were in the magazine.
Yep. So I want to go down like categories here for what we're going to talk about in this. We want to talk about their staying power, their influence. We want to talk about like how long we think they're going to last, and if their fandom is going to survive, if it's going to die off and fade into obscurity, kind of thing. Because a lot of these series are nearing their end right now.
Yeah. I feel like we should get after Ayakashi, we should get like the big ones out of the way.
Yeah. So the big thing right here is why we're going to revisit this topic is we want to see how accurate our predictions are for like the staying power or the like how long they're going to last. I think, and like the reason we're doing this video is because we keep seeing things like, and this is not a diss to any other content, but things like iPatch Wolf's State of Shonen Jump videos. A lot of people saying like it's not really a fair in comparison for a lot of these series because he feels incredibly biased.
Yeah.
Towards certain series. He very much is in denial of like My Hero Academia's ending. A lot of these he won't even give them like the time of day kind of thing, right? Because he doesn't like the fan services topics or whatever you may have in those kind of videos. This is not openly dissing that because the amount of work I don't think a lot of people think about that goes into something as impressively edited. This is very much a different thing than like us having our fucking Discord pictures up here. Like this man puts a lot of work into editing, scripting, tying this all together. And a lot of time and research into those types of things. Even if the research is like not always accurate, the sheer amount of force power that it takes to go in and to make a video like that once a year is impressive.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that front.
As biased as it is, and like not, and then why I feel like this format is a lot better here is we have 3 people with 3 varying opinions. Next time we might have 6 people. There's a whole revolving cast of characters for us that could weigh in on these topics. Like, I'm not a fan of My Hero Academia, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, so I'm incredibly biased against that. I know you guys aren't the biggest fans, but Tyler, at one point, you very much were in love with that series, and you kind of fell out of it. So I feel like that makes it a little bit more fair, having a panel versus one person's opinion. As for, like, the staying power predictions and the like, kind of where the series will go or when it will end, because we're in such a weird phase of Jump here recently where we're like heavy on the axing and heavy on the series ending, we don't really have a lot of series to go through before we get to that, like, throw all the things at the wall and hope one of them sticks pace that we were in like 7 years ago with like Red Sprite and Demon's Plan and all that shit and Hungry Joker, that era of Jump where it was kind of like the Wild West of comics. So I really do enjoy seeing those predictions and how far we go. I think like Ayakashi Triangle, though, is a great place to start because it is such a unique premise. Because we have a series that not only switched magazines, it switched publishers here in the West. It went from being a Viz title and very much a Viz-sponsored product to now it's Yen Press that is doing the localization here, and I'm going to pull up the last chapter of Ayakashi real quick.
I thought it was 7 Seas that was doing it.
7 Seas. You're right. I'm wrong.
But yeah, localization by Medium Bang Inc.
Okay, Media Bang did. Media Bang. I forgot that's also a Paint app. Media Bang Inc. Posting illustrations and manga. Blah, 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 blah. So, not really finding a lot on Media Bang. Publisher profile, Global Comics. Here we go. They do Witch Sister, Warnaguna. They do a lot of weird stuff, apparently. Tokukatsu. They're the same imprint as Source Point too, apparently. Or no, this is just like a full app thing. Never mind on that. So yeah, Media Bang Inc. company profile Shibuya-ku, Tokyo. That would be more close to it, I would guess, right?
I assume so.
Periodicals, yeah. That would seem like a more corporate side of thing. I'm not paying for a trial to figure out exactly what all their shit is on there. Anyway, point being, we switched localization, we switched publishers, all in the span of 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So in 2 years, we've seen what was seemingly like more of a lighthearted, ecchi series with very, very heavy on the fan service moments at times, go from regular Jump to Jump Plus, where we see things like Spy X Family, Abyss Rage, a lot of these more mature or pseudo-popular titles heading. Fire Punch was originally over there, and then Fujimoto came over to Weekly Shonen Jump for Chainsaw Man Part 1, and then back to Jump Plus for Part 2. So we see that there's immediate potential for success in both of these magazines. However, having had a half of your run in one and then half of your run in the other, seemingly by the length of most of Yabuki's titles, we're about halfway through. That could change or could not change, who knows. But the man doesn't really make a lot of longer running series. They're usually in the 150-ish range, give or take.
Yeah. I think the longest he's had is Two Love Rue, because it had Two Love Rue and Two Love Rue Darkness.
Yeah, and then I believe it was Black Cat was the next one, and then
No, Black Cat was before Two Love Rue.
no, I mean like in terms of length. I think Black Cat
Okay.
was that middle ground, and then his others are much smaller. I feel like we looked it up a little bit when I started reading Ayakashi Triangle on Manga Mondays streams. But
Well, and then that begs the question: like, if Chainsaw Man Part 2 is on Manga Plus, on Jump Plus,
Mhm.
then why isn't and I can still read it on the Jump app? Why is Ayakashi Triangle not also here as well? It seems like a weird question to be asking now, but
it is on the app.
It's on
Ayakashi
Manga Plus,
Triangle?
not inside of the Jump regular app. It's never been on the actual American Jump app. I've always had to go to either the website or to the Manga Plus app is where I just kept reading it because I have both on my phone.
Yeah, I never understood that.
It's because of the age restriction on that content. They're deemed 18 plus, just like that one chapter of Chainsaw Man Part 1 was 18 plus. You had to go to the website to view it. The lesbian harem chapter.
Which I cannot wait for that to be animated.
Can't wait for the Puritans to get a hold of that one. No, but like, I find that one of the most interesting concepts here because I don't know if that's going to affect its popularity. I had to move my mic because I'm leaning back.
From what I'm seeing, it hasn't really affected its popularity. It's still a fairly popular series,
Right.
And with the anime coming next year,
right? Like you have a very bizarre case for some of these too. Like you see that Fire Punch wasn't as popular as Chainsaw Man, right?
Right.
But the second Chainsaw Man became popular, you saw people going in and diving into the one shots, like Look Back, Goodbye Eri. You saw a lot of people dive into Fire Punch and getting traumatized by that series.
Yeah,
But
I
with
think
Ayakashi Triangle, it's a whole different scenario because you have a very specific audience attracted to this type of manga.
yeah.
It's being more on the pervy side of things. It's very much more fan servicey. It's very much more on that 18 plus esque style of content, but it's not fully like hentai.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I'm on Manga Plus now, and it's more popular than Oshinoko and Akane, and Akane is quite very popular at the moment.
Oh yeah, and that's the weird thing to me, right? Like you have a clear desire for this like you got Chainsaw Man in first place, One Piece, My Hero, um and then you have Jujutsu Kaisen, you have Spy X Family, Dragon Ball Super. I'm trying to skip like the multiple entry ones here. Like you have 5, 6 different translations of My Hero in here.
Yeah. Um. Oh, and also, it's amazing, and how much I feel like this is still going to have staying power. We'll get to it when we get to it. Ruri Dragon, despite it going on hiatus, still at number 11.
I love that. I love that for that author. And we'll
Yeah.
get to that one eventually. But no, like, and you're right. Like, it is very much above Akane. I couldn't believe that. And Akane is being pushed as like one of the new standards for Jump.
Yeah.
And I fucking love that that series is having the success it is. I'm not a fan of it, but
And that's fine.
right. But it getting this much success is very heartwarming because it's a super niche style story as well, and that's why it doesn't attract to me as much as like P5. But with Ayakashi Triangle, I think the last things I'm going to say on it, and then kind of defer to you guys, and kind of let one of you take in the next pick for Jump here. I don't think it's going to have a lot of staying power fan wise because this is also a style of series that is literally 17 things per year. You get those super heavy fan servicey titles. What made it so successful in this regard is you had a veteran author, somebody that wrote To Love Ru, somebody that wrote Black Cat. It was a very popular author at the helm of a more mature series again. I don't think it's also going to last too terribly much longer. I feel like we'll have it ending in the next year and a half, 2 years. Just on its current release schedule of 3 on, 1 off. But I do think that that may change depending on the popularity of the anime as well. Because it has a series structure that can be stretched ad infinitum or in tomorrow. And that's a lovely new trend in Jump that I'm such a fan of because it allows authors to have more flexibility for if their series gets canceled.
Yeah, I agree. I I think as well, like I said, I feel like it will get a boost in popularity from the anime, but I'm not really sure how much more it will, because you had that Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs, which had an anime, but no one really talked about it afterwards, and that went on for quite a while. Went on for 4 years, and I feel like you said, probably Ayakashi will go on for that long as well. As much as I would like it to go on for a little bit longer, I really don't know, because from week to week it kind of does its own thing really. I mean, you get like these little mini arcs, but not really anything major at the moment, overarching story wise with it.
Yeah, and the thing with that is you are able to self-contain a lot of these stories and resolve them pretty quickly. Like you have stuff like the Shadow May arc that went on for quite a few chapters, but you also it didn't last that long either, you know. And now she's nowhere to be found. I'm sure she's still doing her own thing, but at the same time, like you had that plot resolve within the span of basically 2 months.
Yeah,
So
and
I
I love. Go ahead.
I love that too because you don't start dragging on story-wise, and you can always have that fresh feel, and it's be really snappy. It's the same feeling I get with Witch Watch, right? Like, it resolves itself pretty consistently. You're not getting bogged down by a lot of the overarching plot, and that's why I love Slice of Life so much, is because you have the ability to just have these little moments where the characters, like, even as pervy as fucking Ayakashi Triangle is, you have those good wholesome moments too, where you have moments where, like, we're having the split personality stuff with the Ayakashi medium. I love,
Yeah.
because you had to go through and appease every single one of those personalities, with Shadow May being like the overarching domineering one, with his lifelong friend, have that moment of like, do you really not like kind of doing this, because you have this side over here wanting to take your body over, and this side over here not wanting to be a part of it. You're conflicted in of yourself. So what's really going on here? And then the childlike personality coming back, and like, I'll be here if you need me kind of moment was really wholesome too. Because that way she can still kind of be a part of this innocent side of her. Even though, like, at the end of the day, her entire goal now is to fuck him.
yeah. But I just really wish that they would actually do a little bit more with the two side friends, Yayo and Lucy. Like, I love Lucy as a character just for the fact that she's just like, I don't believe it. I believe in aliens, but I don't. It's basically like, is it Momo from Dawn to Dawn. That's basically what it is. It's basically like those two characters from Dawn to Dawn rolled into one. It's like, I believe in aliens, but I don't believe in the supernatural.
Oh yeah, it's very much in that, and I love that new trend of, like, I hate using this reference, but it's almost like the people will go out and hunt Bigfoot, but don't believe that, there's another cryptid in another fucking state, or they believe in religion, where you have the whole fucking supernatural being, that pays for all of our sins, but at the same time, like, aliens can't possibly exist.
Yeah, or they don't believe the Earth is round.
God. And those people need to be pushed off the side of the Earth, because the Earth is flat,
Yeah, I it just baffles me, like, how can they live in a world where they believe the Earth is flat, but yet we can have hills and mountains?
Don't go math, science, and me.
But yeah, and also one thing I was gonna say, last thing about Ayakashi Triangle is that I do like Shadow May as like this sort of pseudo antagonist. Like, she's not the most threatening. She's not as threatening as Momo Yozakura, but when she gets serious, it's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of like, yeah, you don't want to mess with her.
Oh yeah. So should we talk about Hunter x Hunter, or should we just say fuck that and wait for it to actually come back?
I think we should wait for Tyler to come back, because I feel like there's actually, since I brought it up with Yozakura, I think we should get the elephant out of the room here, or in this case, the blooming out of the room here.
So I, full clarification, I have not read last week's chapter, so.
Last week's chapter is kind of like a bit like, okay, if you didn't think Momo Yozakura was as a scumbag yet, you will now.
Love it. So
yeah.
I just wanted to get that out of the way. Like, I haven't read I haven't read Witch Watch, and I haven't read Sakamoto Days yet.
Can I just all I'll say is mind control.
Love it. God.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say, like, Michio's core family is in like a weird state at the moment, because like people say, it's like one of the longest running in Jump now, and it doesn't have an anime yet.
Yeah, we have that, and it's also just to clarify, like we have Hunter x Hunter seemingly ending because Togashi is pretty much determined to wrap it up at this point, right? We have Doran
Yeah,
Doran ending. We have Mashal in his final arc. We
we
have
have My Hero in its final arc. Jujutsu Kaisen looks like it's going to be ending in the next couple of years. Black Clover next
Mhm.
couple of years, and One Piece in like the next. Because Oda said that he hopes to end it in 3 years, which would
right.
be 2025.
Yeah, so and people are like, "Well, it's talking about," but like, think about that for a moment, right? You have all those series ending, right? One of them canceled, but whatever. You have all those series ending here relatively within the same period of time, and then you have Mission Yosa Core Family, who hasn't had an anime announcement yet, but fucking Blue Box has. You have
Well, to be fair, Blue Box is just rumored. It's not. I don't think it's been officially announced yet.
Kaiju number 8 getting an anime from Jump Plus. You have that one is confirmed now. You have Sakamoto Days being rumored slash confirmed. And you have Bleach: A Thousand Year Blood War on Disney fucking Plus. Welcome to the Mickey Mouse Club. Uh,
And then you have Mashal, which is also ending as well.
oh yeah, I thought I said that, but I might have missed that one.
And
I
Undead Unluck as well, potentially ending, but that's getting an anime as well.
yeah. So you have all those, but Joe's Fam being this like at 140, 150 chapters, still not getting an anime, and fucking Undead Unluck is what 70?
No, it's not that far from. To be fair, Undead Unluck's not that far behind from Mission Yours Cover. It's only like about 15 chapters behind.
Okay, it started later than I thought it did.
Yeah. Let me just check quickly. What was the last chapter?
The last chapter I read was 57.
The last chapter of Undead Unluck, if I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. 122 chapters.
Okay. So I have arguably not read half of the series at this point.
No, you haven't. And Michino's Family's last chapter was 141. So, yeah, pretty
20-ish.
much 15
20, yeah.
chapters. 15, 17 chapters.
Like they're closer than I thought they were. So that makes it even more suspect, right? Like, why is this series not getting an anime? Because it is arguably like, with it being the longest running series, it is going to be the centerpiece for Jump for a while, unless it ends relatively soon as well.
I do not see that. That's the problem. Like, Pete, like Furman keeps like you and Furman are kind of like in agreement that it might be final archy, but with what's been happening recently in Machino's Cover, like it's from like certain aspects being set up, like this mysterious shadowy figure, this like other potential organization out there.
Yeah,
And
like with that, it could give it a little bit of a life boost, but I do think that like a lot of what's going on right now and a lot of the overarching backplot that we have could be wrapped up relatively easily.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. I'm not arguing with that, and the whole thing with Momo. But what what I've loved most about what's happening in Michiru Sakura Family is kind of like what you and Red liked about that end of Chainsaw Man. How it's a process in taking down Makima. It's the same thing with Momo, of just like how difficult it is and just how much of a threat he actually is.
Yeah, like there's there's clearly a lot left to do with the taking down taking down Momo and a lot of the stuff with the reaching gold rank and stuff like that. That could be a big arc in of itself.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like either of those arcs are going to be overly long and arduous processes of wrapping up because of how Gandaria writes the story. Because every single what seems like going to be drawn out arcs have been previously wrapped up relatively quickly. Like dealing with the underground facility, that whole arc, that was not that long of a process, story wise, but it seemed like it.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely like this should be like, okay, we need to set up the heist, the whole infiltration, you go this way, you go that way, be all super tactical about it. But then you have Taiju bum rush like 60 dudes, get trapped, seemingly about to sacrifice himself, whole family pops up, boom, done. And now we have this dude rotting in a fucking prison cell somewhere. So you got all that wrapped up pretty quickly. And then Momo entering the fray. The Momo being the shadowy figure for a while now has been the longest plot process in that entire series. And it's seeming to reach its conclusion here with this dark YouTube version of things going on, and then the whole like attacking the Spy Association, and kind of him seemingly having remorse but not having it at the same time.
After the last chapter, he does not have remorse. Like, and the thing is, like, with what's happened, this is potentially Momo escaping for like the 50 billionth time.
Of course he is. Like that motherfucker does not want to die. He does not want to be caught. He has basically turned himself into the Adolf Hitler of this series with all the crimes he's committed. Because he has essentially been genociding for ages, trying to refuel his wife's heart.
Oh yeah. And I made this comment in the last video of like, Momo versus Shao Tucker, who would take the rank now for the worst family?
It's very close. It's very close. Like Shao Tucker is a fucking scumbag.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But like Momo is on a whole other level of fucked up. Like you have one, like I can only afford to feed one of y'all, so Chimera versus I'm going to kill people for like 25 years and steal their essence to fuel my dead wife's heart tube.
So that and then have myself be a whole and have us all be a happy family again whilst on a pile of corpses.
A literal pile of corpses. That's not playing with words. Like the dude was standing on a pile of corpses.
Yeah.
Like it's very hyperbolic to say like he's Hitler-esque, but when you have a mound of corpses to play witch doctor, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is pretty bad.
But like I can see this one having a lasting fan base because you have a clear and passionate fan base there for the series. It won't be on like a JJK or My Hero level of like staying power fan wise, but I feel like it'll reach that like niche side of Anna Twitter, manga Twitter, where you have shit like Code Geass sitting, you have your SAO fanboys, stuff like that. It'll have that rabid fan base over there.
Yeah, and somebody actually did give an interesting but also worrying comment that the reason why it doesn't have an anime yet is because they're doing
Hitman Reborn remake.
They're doing what?
Hitman Reborn remake.
Oh no, it wasn't to do with Hitman Reborn. It was the Demon Slayer / JJK effect.
Really?
Where they're probably looking for a sort of underground animation studio to do it, but give it like the absolute go all in to like get everyone talking about it and be like, oh, now it shoots up in the rankings and everything.
See, I don't want them to work an animation studio to death like Mappa got with JJK though.
I don't either. But it seems like, despite people thinking that Jump don't care about Mission Yosako Family, like if you look at the cover of the last cover, which is on the Fizz app, like the main page, you see Asta, not Asta, Deku, Luffy, and Yuji in the front there. And if you look over to the left side, you see Tayo right in between Akane and whoever the name of the main character is from Elusive Samurai. So it is kind of like one of the more popular ones, but not at the forefront quite yet.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying that Jump doesn't care about it. Like, I see that take a lot on Twitter. I don't think that it's that. I think it's very much like you have a lot of series in this right now that are popularized and at the forefront in this type of genre, right? You have stuff like Tokyo Revengers. You have the Hitman Reborn remake being made. And when you get an oversaturation of a genre in any media, look at what we're seeing with the superhero effect right now, for example, right? People are getting burnt out on cape shit. You know, and I know that's a buzzword for that style of shitting on superhero movies. But you have literally 4 or 5 series a year, 4 or 5 movies a year from Marvel alone. You have The Boys going on Amazon, Invincible going on at Amazon. You have whatever the fuck Warner Brothers still has on their plate after they clean slate, like a goddamn headsman's room here. Canceling Batgirl, seemingly ending the Arrowverse. Like, there's a lot going on at DC that's very worrisome in its own right. But you still have their shit. And you have all the, like, random little tiny animated stuff coming out. You have a lot of stuff in that genre. And that's a lot of the same content, and you see this effect where you get burnt out on it. Like, it's very prevalent in a lot of people for anime too, because if you see 85 battle shonen all airing at the same time, you get tired of seeing battle shonen, you know, unless you're a jarhead power scaler and then you go ape shit, you go full monkey mode. Like, this character can't be Goku because this little tiny attack that they had 17 episodes ago, but even though that they had a massive power bump there, I'm going to dick ride this one thing, and then I'm going to go over here and say Goku's stronger. Ooh. Fucking chill. I fucking hate those people with a burning passion.
I think we all do.
Don't dogs bark. Don't you worry about a thing, Vex. Soon I'll be releasing my full-scale analysis after experiencing the entirety of Dragon Ball. Why Goku cannot defeat a grilled cheese sandwich. Aside from Superman, the only fictional character Goku cannot defeat is a grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay, I expect this on the editor's desk tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Got it.
I would unironically put that on our channel just as a shitpost video if you want to make that. No, but like,
but yeah,
I think that's why we're getting this, like, hold off on it and wait till you see how, like, Tokyo Revengers' this drop-off period is, and see where you have, like, a lot of the drop-off from those other, like, niche anime, and also the first effect of the Hitman Reborn remake. And I think we'll get back into, like, seeing Fan be at the forefront of making an anime. But I still don't see the series lasting another 2 years. It's going to be a tight squeeze, but I think they can wrap up the remaining episode or chapters in 2 years' time, unless they drop some major plot heavy shit in this. Whoever the shadowy figure is, that might add some time into it.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're going to, because the main thing that we need to know about, like, there's 2 things I need to know. I
have
to know
2
about
as well that I need
and
to
it's
know.
and it's a theory that I've had. It's a theory that I've had for a while. Is that because based on the fact that we've had, like, the gold rank members and how they all connect to the Ozakoa family, it's my theory of, like, when they said, like, oh, only the head can give out the blooming to another person. Is that really true, or is it just like the head can give out the strongest blooming, like the blooming that can evolve in a person? Because I feel like the main thing with a blooming to activate in someone else would be that they have to have a strong connection with the person that they give the blood to, and you see that with Kai, because Kai obviously has some sort of supernatural ability, and he has like such a strong connection to Kirichiro. So I feel like he does have a blooming, kind of like how they did the whole thing with Tampopo, and they were able to get bloomings. I feel like it's kind of the same thing.
It could be, he could even be part of Tampopo, you know, because we don't really
Could
know
be.
how strongly linked that was, because we know that there was at least some human experiments going on with Tampopo.
Yeah, and also as well, one other thing that needs to happen that I need to know is, where are the aunts and uncles?
You've been on this aunts and uncles crap for as long as this.
Because it's something that's bugging me. It's like, where are they? Because it's obvious that they have to have aunts and uncles.
Do they though? Do they?
Not
Like,
really. Maybe.
Yeah, because
Maybe Ray and Momo were only children. My dad was an only child.
yeah,
true, but I'm just looking like the thing that's
like
the thing
historically
that's-
speaking, there hasn't been an aunt or uncle mentioned at this point, and that is kind of bizarre because at least one part in a family tree you would think would have like a brother or a sister. I kind of see where he's coming from,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's a big stretch for like a bit of plot to be wrapped up too.
I know, and I totally get that, but it's just like when we saw that like family tree in chapter 2, and you saw like the one before the current generation, you saw like it stretching out a little bit. So I'm just thinking, like, is that the foreshadowing of like, okay, yeah, Ray did have brothers and sisters?
And we might get an answer to that. We might not. It might just have been just like the way it was dropped
Yeah.
into the magazine or stretched digitally. Who the fuck knows?
Didn't Momo have a brother?
No, he didn't. Like the way he says it is I think what it implies is that those things that he's using, like those dark cherry blossom things, are from his DNA. So that's probably what he's referring to of like, oh, they're my brothers.
We'll find out eventually, or maybe not at all. Like,
Maybe not at all.
but I
Honestly, I wouldn't be torn up either way.
yeah,
As long as
yeah.
Tayo and Mutsumi get their happy ending, Koichiro gets put somewhere far away.
Well, to be fair, with Kirichiro, he hasn't really been that creepy recently, and they've kind of gone into the fact of like, yes, even he admits that he is creepy himself.
At least
I still want him
Gandara-
locked in the goddamn padded cell.
But also as well, one thing that I really want to see as well, just because she's the most adorable cinnamon bun and she needs protected 24/7. I want to see I in kindergarten.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Like, I mean, I don't see any issue with having like a little mini arc of her having her fun, you know, because there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of need for something like that, you know, right now, especially with how fucked the recent events have been in that series. Like, I'm sure she doesn't even know what's going on at the moment.
No. Also, as well, I've got to say, Tyler, I said to Fex earlier that because he has they have not read the last chapter of Mission Yozakuro Family, and I said, oh, if people didn't think Momo was a scumbag before, they will now.
Oh, so
Because you read it, Tyler. So would you agree with that statement?
I wouldn't say I didn't agree with it before, but I agree with it even more now.
yeah, see, I'm planning on reading those in the next couple days, but like with that, like you're right, like there's a lot that can be drawn out from there. But what I really need before the series wraps up, and probably the next 2 years max, is I need to know exactly how far a blooming can evolve. Because we've seen that they seem to have a track for evolving as time goes on. Like, even, like, the powers for, like, Futaba have kind of changed a bit since they were originally introduced. Like, you're seeing, like, more spin-offs of that. Kingo getting a little bit more spotty there with his, So we know these abilities can evolve. I want to know what the maximum potential for something like them are. And that's just my weird, power scaling. I want to know how powerful they are overall and how manipulative they can become. Because, Kichiro's still evolving past where he was when we first were introduced. You see how much more powerful his stuff's gotten.
And that's another thing as well. We don't know what his blooming is. He's the only sibling we do not know what it is.
But you can see it's getting even more powerful as time goes on. So it's in the back of the mind, I want to know how bad he can cut things up with little tiny shreds of metal-ish things. Almost like fucking tripwire, fucking E47 garroting a dude. But I want the other thing I want to see is I want to know exactly how deep influential the Yozakura family technically is still, because you can tell at a point removing their name from the registry of the Spy Association would have been detrimental at this point, but given how little Kichiro gave a shit there at that initial meeting, makes me think that they're a lot more embedded into the backdrop of the society than we initially thought.
Possibly. But also as well, one other running gag that needs to end is Red's refusal to read it.
I want at 200 subs, I'll strap him to this chair with a goddamn nylon rope and force him to read the first 50 chapters. And my hoe ass has the nylon rope.
I just love that being a running gag of Luke getting Red to read something that Red's never gonna read.
At one point I had him almost convinced to read Monster, and then he never sat down and did it. And that's the most annoying thing. He will start to do a thing, and then he won't follow through with doing the thing. We've gotten one fucking episode of him playing Kingdom Hearts on the Twitch, and his entire punishment was sitting at least through all of Kingdom Hearts 1. But the whole goal was to get him to play through them all, because he would like them if he'd sat down and fucking did the thing. But he's too goddamn stubborn to do the thing. This is a Red Slander hour now. Welcome to this.
And it's crazy how he really got into Ruri Dragon right at the beginning.
Right. It's such a fuck you to me. It was such a fuck you to me, because I recommended 20 other series that are basically similar to fucking Ruri Dragon, and his bitch ass cute dragon girl with horns, me like.
I would honestly love it if it turned out that the blooming that I's got in Mission Yozakura family turned her into a dragon.
Oh god. I go from cute and cuddly little ball of fur shape to, oh, I'm going to eat you now.
Yeah, that would get Red to read it.
I'm Drogon, but better and more plot relevant.
But yeah.
I know the whole point of Game of Thrones was dragons are bad. Shut the fuck up. But no, the thing that drives me insane while we get onto that oddity, I guess would be the next logical thing, is Ruby Dragon got a really interesting immediate popularity spike. It took off seemingly out of nowhere from that chapter 1.
I know. I feel like it was the Spy X family effect.
I think audiences are more gravitating towards, at least on the mainstream, are gravitating towards that more cute and friendly, given how fucked the overall universe is right now. And they want something that's going to distract them from the world's problems and the world's politics and all that. When we're in such a weird time, especially here in America, politically, and, still in the middle of a fucking pandemic, possibly 2 pandemics, at the same time, we're like every this at least like our generation and the generation after feel like every other day is a major once in a lifetime event. Having something cute and wholesome to read, like Spy X Family or Ruri Dragon or Komi Can't Communicate, something like that is really uplifting in a way.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I liked Rue Dragon a lot, a lot, but I was not expecting it to be like the next big thing that people talked about.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a great thing, right? Because
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know about you, but I'm fucking tired of Battle Shonen. Like having an era of Jump that isn't just like 75 fucking Battle Shonen is so goddamn appealing to me, because Pretty Beam outweighing other Pretty Beam can only go so far as a fucking genre before you
Yeah.
want to beat your head against the wall.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that Gondaria knows with Missionaries Qualifying, which is why we get like, okay, we get the big action set piece, and then we get the downtime slice of life character interaction moments.
Yeah, and see the nice little thing there with Gandaria's writing style, right, is while we get those nice little action set pieces, they don't distract from the actual plot that we have going on in the background here. Like every set piece with Spy X Family, for contrast, feels like it's forced because, like, let's take the boat arc for example.
Oh my god, that was the arc that made me was like, I cannot do this anymore.
Right, Yor is set up to be such a badass. We know plot-wise that she's one of the best in her business. The best in the world at what I do. You know, but here we have her so distracted by the B plot to her. Because the A plot to somebody like Yor should and will always be, in her line of work, the mission.
Yeah.
The B plot to her would be like upholding this fake family. I love that it humanized her. I don't distract what I'm about to say from, shitting on it. I love that it humanized her as a character because it shows that she does have a soul beyond the fact that, like, she's essentially an assassin. But her losing focus over that is just against the character that we were established. Because to us, we're thinking, oh, she's going to fuck some shit up here on this boat. And we're going to see a nice little action battle here. Kind of like the stupid tennis arc. That was fun to do skits for, that arc was. Like, no cap, that was some of the most fun. But, like, the boat battle was so anticlimactic because in the back of her head, she's like, I gotta protect Anya and Lloyd. These two people that should mean fuck all to the overall what's going on right now. Because a hardened assassin would be like, I gotta kill this guy, and then I gotta go stab this guy in the throat, and then I gotta jump off of him, and then rip this one's throat out, and then I gotta, like, fucking take my little MA piercers and jab this guy's eyeballs out. And then that would be the end of the fucking fight.
Yeah.
Instead, we're over here like, where's Anya? Where's Lloyd?
Yeah, it seems like the problem that I've always had with Spy X Family is that it kind of feels unbalanced, unbalanced because it doesn't know whether to be action,
serious, or super funny,
super serious action, or slice of life. It seems to be back and forth with that. Whereas I feel like Mission Yosakura Family perfectly establishes that right away. Okay, yeah, it's gonna focus on the family and focus on their struggles, but whilst also having action on top of that. And the fact that they got it out of the way of like, okay, we're married, we're a family now. It's
so much more relaxing to sit down.
Yeah,
and be like, that's out of the way.
Whereas because of the fact that it's a fake family, it kind of doesn't feel. You can't. I can't really get attached to them as a family because we know in the back of our minds, like, they're fake. They're a fake family, and they know that they're a fake family.
Okay, and knowing that they're a fake family detracts from all the other shenanigans because we can't get emotionally attached to any of this shit that's going on because it doesn't really matter in the end.
Yeah, and the thing that just made me like really like, okay, I'm done now, is when we had that big climactic action set piece, and it was like prepared for that. Then we get a break for a month, and then it comes back, and it's like, really? We wait a whole month for this?
And not only did we wait a whole month for this, we waited a whole month for a fucking picture or a 0.1 or a 0.2. And then we come back like 6 months later and we've only progressed the plot enough to set a... Like from the time we stopped reviewing this series, right? We've had 2 major plot developments. We've had the, oh, here is Simon's family, you know, and their whole influence. And their overarching influence on the school itself. And now we have the Moms Club.
Yeah.
That's really all that we've established. And the fun part was, like, the running gag for us as a channel was, we'll cover anything, even if it's just a picture.
You couldn't do that anymore.
When it was 4 pictures and a 0.1 in a row, I'm like, okay, what are we doing this for? Like, it's not even funny as a meme anymore. It's just depressing. You know, we made Yor a fucking wiki feat. We made Yor a fucking wiki feat. And even that was stretched into like a 15-minute video. I could not be arsed to do a fucking single chapter review of the series anymore.
Yeah, and it's amazing how I know that it's not the most accurate for ratings, but if you look at like how the anime shot up to like one of the top ones, and now it's just gone back downhill.
And just to clarify, you're talking about the My Anime List rankings, and they are very heavily protected by Full Metal Alchemist stands, unfortunately. Like,
unfortunately.
There was a very big time where like Kaguya-sama was shooting up as a meme. You had Spike's Family shooting up. I honestly think the Spike's Family did legitimately earn the ranking it did for a while, because that first bit of the series was very much why I wanted to review it. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
But like and I feel like this is the same thing that Demon Slayer's going through. Like, the farther they get in the series, the more they realize, like, it's not that great overall. Like, it has great moments, but it's not a great overall series. And when we get, like, to season 2 or season 3 of Spike's Family, we're going to see... I don't know how the fuck we'll get a season 3 right now. We might just get a season 2, currently, with how fast the plot's going. But, like, they're going to realize, like, it decreases in value over time, and that's an unfortunate realization. Whereas like Ruri Dragon definitely feels like it's going to be on that complete upkeep. Like, you're going to have these moments of like her going to terms with her powers and her, you know, developing like her abilities as a dragon, and potentially having like this whole school really fucking weigh in on like more and more like mythological creatures. I feel like is the way we're going to go. Like, kind of like Demon Aruma-kun. But in the school,
I've not read the Aruma-kun, but
I've read a bit on stream.
Yeah, I've got a vague idea of what it's about. But like you said, like there's probably going to be more people who have like mythical creature aspects to them in that school.
And that would be really cool. Like, here's a fucking werewolf, here's a unicorn, here's a goddamn, you know, a sphinx. Who the fuck knows? Like, when you get mythological beasts into the mix, like, there's a lot of them that really, even in a mythological standpoint, don't make any fucking sense.
Oh, you know what would be really interesting is if there's like one person there who's descended from a lineage of knights.
Oh yeah, and like the whole, and that would kind of go into like the Magu-chan territory. Like, we have the holy knights over here fighting down like the demons kind of thing. But it would be like, and so that we're hunting down the heads of all the different mythological beasts to go back home kind of thing.
Yeah, but there could be like a twist in it. It's like this like person whose lineage of these knights, who's specifically trained to kill dragons.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, oh, but but I love her and she's my best friend, but I don't want to kill her. And like that conflicting aspect.
Yeah, and that's, if we go down that route, that's probably how we'll get to that point. Because at the end of the day, like, this is still a school setting, you can't have anything too horrific in like mainstream Jump. But I really like the premise of Ruri Dragon as a whole. Like, we can't really judge a whole lot off of the 6 chapters that we've got so far, but
Yeah.
you know, it definitely has a nice initial setup going, and I feel like once the author comes off of this hiatus, we'll see it, you know, still remaining as popular. It's an oddball because we've only gotten 6 chapters. We can't really predict a length, but it has a staying power kind of story.
Yeah.
So it
But-
might be reaching like the 4-year mark, depending
Yeah,
on
potentially, but also as well, I feel like with the issue surrounding Ruri Dragon's hiatus, I like I said on your Twitch stream, I really think there should be like a sit down, because I feel like the author of Ruri Dragon kind of had like the because Fujimoto is a young successful author, and it seems like, and from what we gather, like the author of Ruri Dragon was younger than Fujimoto,
Mhm.
and going on hiatus because of health problems. I feel like what Jump needs to do in the future is say to them like, okay, can you cut it with a weekly series?
And there's no shame if you can't. Like, I think the stream that you're talking about is like delisted at this point by Twitch's automatic system, because it was a couple weeks ago when I was playing Stray.
All right.
So just for clarification, for those that weren't watching that, and obviously like these don't really coexist in the same plane. The podcast audience usually, and then the Twitch stream audience. I was playing Stray, and we had this conversation back and forth about like the different magazines and like the staying power of a weekly series or a monthly series or a bi-weekly series, or like a Jump Plus schedule like we're seeing now, where like you have 3 weeks on, 1 week off kind of thing to rest. Those seem to be becoming more and more popular because a lot of these authors are not wanting to overwork themselves in this industry that has been really, really heavily criticized about the need to kind of overwork yourself to remain relevant in that scene and continue keeping a weekly series published. Because a lot of these authors now see how detrimental that like 25/8 lifestyle of a manga author is, because you're never really getting a moment to rest, because you're going from like manuscripting to like drawing to rough draft to like edits, touch-ups, all in the span of a week, and then pushing it off to the magazine to get it, you know, put in all on a strict deadline over and over and over and over again for seemingly 5, 10, 15 years for a lot of these authors now, and seeing how decayed their bodies have become, and like you're needing a special apparatus to draw, or you're needing to sit down and take extended health breaks between series or publications because your last one nearly fucking killed you. So you really, now with this popularization of these other magazines and these other imprints, like there's not really a need to do that anymore. So sitting down and talking with these authors, like, okay, what kind of schedule do you want? You work on your own schedule. You know, do you want to do a weekly series? Do you want to do a bi-weekly series? Do you want to do this like on our Manga Plus platform? Do you want to do it like in Jump SQ? You want to do Giga Jump? You want to do any of these other different series or these magazines? And then that will allow an author to get a healthier initiation into the industry and see if they would even be up for doing a weekly series. I think that weekly benchmark should be reserved for people that have been able to consistently put out content again and again and again. That way they know how it will have a toll on their body before they go out and be like, well, I'm 26, going to join the 27 club next year, guys, bye. You know, that is just like the logical step for something like that moving forward. And I feel like it's the same way like we're seeing the seasonal anime become so popular, because you're not getting that overworking of having a weekly anime like your Bleach or your One Piece or shit like that is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, to just go off from what you're saying there, it's kind of like the thing with like Horikoshi as well. Yeah, and and the fact that the fact that he's been able to be just so popular with Hunter x Hunter despite not doing a chapter in like 4 years, that's
Yeah,
just a
Togashi
testament.
really, like, the minute he made a Twitter account and it was confirmed to be Togashi, we saw an immediate blow up in, like, Hunter x Hunter, is
Yeah,
coming back. You're seeing a lot of the promises of, like, keeping on a schedule, because he was able to develop a specific apparatus to allow him to sit in a comfortable position to finish his series. I think
yeah.
I think when we talked about it on that stream, like, I think Miora's death was kind of his, like, final, like, well, fuck.
Yeah, and I feel like with again, and I feel like as well the recent death with I mean I know he wasn't working on on a manga series at that point, but
Takahashi.
no oh the Yu-Gi-Oh's creator. I feel
Mhm.
like that was one of the ones as
Well,
well that was like
I think it's a lot of, because they were seemingly at least close in, like, comment leaving. They seem to be like, and they coming from the same generation. In Jump, like, when you had that moment, like, that's really, like, outside of Oda, that's the last of my class either fully retiring or dying, you
yeah.
know, because you have,
And
well, technically
sorry, just
Kishimoto was in that era too.
yeah, sorry to just interrupt you, but I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Okay. But, like, having that like nice little nod off there of, like, I need to finish my series, seems to have really wrapped up that desire for him, and now we're seeing a lot more of this super ramp up pace. I feel like the Dark Continent arc will eventually be able to, like, wrap up pretty well, but while Luke's doing what he's doing, I feel like Rui Dragon's author needs to sit down and be like, do I want to go to a different magazine to lessen my burden? Because that is a very arduous task to sit down and write something weekly. I mean, even from a content creator perspective, like, doing weekly content can be a very, very deep slog. And, like, well, I need to pump out this video, or I need to do this thing, or I need to make this edit. I'm saying as, like, there is a very minimal editing and anything that we produce here, but, like, just that mindset of needing to do this, and this for a young person in particular, it seems to be, like, more of a burden than somebody that's been in this game for 15, 20, 25 years, like some of the veteran authors are. So, like, out of those first 6-ish chapters that we got, we saw the mindset immediately of the author going into, like, apologetic mode. Here's the special drawing because I can't make a whole chapter. There's clearly the desire and the passion to create a series there for them. It's just, like, kind of overpowered them in particular. And then, like, the next week we got the confirmation that it was on, like, basically an indefinite hiatus, because there's no, like, return date listed. And we saw that sort of recently with, like, Guige, the JJK author, for a while, like, taking a nice big hiatus for their health even. And they're not a very old author either. And this seems to be the new trend of, like, hey, I'm taking a break. And I kind of like that Jump's becoming a lot more acceptable of that, because even, like, 5-10 years ago, I don't think they would have been this receptive to, like, taking a health break for an author, unless you had a lot of clout, like Togashi, obviously, because they basically begged him to come back after Yu Yu Hakusho. But we have, in that same vein, because I feel like that's about all we can really talk about with Rui Dragon, with the limited amount of content that we have for that.
And I'm back.
Okay, we were just wrapping up Rui Dragon.
Okay.
So, because we've talked about 3 series and we're an hour and 30 in.
Oh wow, yeah.
I
By
feel like
we, they mean them because I have just been on and off, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
yeah. But we have Earthchild, Doron, and Aliens Arena. I think we can wrap up pretty easily here. Doron is getting axed.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was the right time for something like that to come out, like on the peak of Demon Slayer popularity. It kind of got wrote off as like kind of copying that, I feel like, because it has like a similar art style and the flashiness. You have a lot of the
I saw it more akin to Bleach.
oh yeah, like plot wise and everything, it kind of had that aspect to it. What little bit that I'm consuming right now, it definitely has that, because I'm here looking to the first chapter. While we talk about this,
Yeah,
just so I have something.
Don't get used to the female lead, because she
just came back like 3 chapters ago. I've read.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
It just in time for the finale. I kind of figured, like, when they said that character was written off like Taiju style, it would be kind of near the endish for something like that, because I didn't figure it would stay long when it drops either. So with that one, I really think like it wasn't the right time. You have the popularity of Demon Slayer for the art style. Like the cover on Manga Plus reminds me of Muramasa the Demon Blade. Anybody remember that game? Or only me?
No, I don't.
Okay, it's only me.
It also had the same effect as Ayashimon as well, which got axed.
Yeah, I knew they would be axed pretty quickly between each other too, and Shugamaru kind of took that padding.
Apparently with Aoshima, it was because of the fact that the protagonists were basically the Yakuza.
Who the fuck cares? You're like literally one of the most popular video games in Japan is fucking Yakuza.
Well, Japan seems to care. Because they were.
Then stop buying Sega's franchise, Yakuza, Japan.
But I think a lot of parents were probably thinking, like, we don't want our children to be thinking that the Yakuza is cool.
No, probably not the best message, but, at the same time, like I said, like, it's very hypocritical when that game sells more over there than here. But for Doron, I feel like if it would have came out like maybe 2-3 years later, it would have been more popular, because Bleach's anime would have ended and Demon Slayer would have faded a little bit more into the ethos. I do like the art style of the series. I really think it was very punchy, and something we don't get a whole lot of, like super punchy art anymore. Like I said, Demon Slayer was one, and I really can't think of another one all too recently. Like, Bleach had its own like punch to it, but it wasn't really to this degree.
No.
But yeah, R.I.P. Doron. Earthchild's gonna be the next one to go.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said before, after the first chapter, it seemed like the author had no idea what to do with it.
They essentially wrote a one shot and got lucky, and that is an unfortunate reality of a lot of more recent Jump. Is like, you have a really great chapter 1, a really gripping great chapter 1, and then you have fuck all for the rest of it, and then your series dies.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of, as much as I shit on it, I was a huge fan of the premise of Samurai 8. I like that super steampunky supernatural style that they had. But I could not be fucking bothered to give 2 fucking cups of piss about anybody in that series, because it felt like everybody was a generic Naruto C character. And that, I think, is what killed it. But it had a really gripping first chapter. Like, art-wise, he threw his whole fucking paint bucket at it. And he made a masterful, like, wonderful world in that chapter 1. And it really kind of sucked you in.
Kishimo Tussie into it.
I was trying desperately to avoid it.
But yeah, from what I saw from chapter 1 of Samurai 8, the problem that I had was that it was too heavy on the exposition.
Oh, it was very much was. It relied so much on exposition, and that's what fucking killed it, really, because it was plot dumping every like 3 chapters.
Yeah, I think that's telling story 101 is don't start off with exposition.
Well, I mean, even Kingdom Hearts had some exposition in the beginning, and it's one of my favorite franchises. You can have some level of exposition, but you cannot put in literally a Togashi-style paragraph into every other page in those first few chapters of dumping half the plot of the series and expect people to keep with it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And like the first 4 or 5 chapters really felt like super, like, I need to explain this away immediately because I thought of 15 other things that were way cooler. And then it continued down that path. So I need to like blah 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 blah, and that's how this works. And now it gets this supercharge, and now this over here doesn't matter. And it was, I need the 7 princesses and the 7 keys and the 7 fucks I need to give over here to kind of, you know, progress the remainder of this MacGuffin-esque plot. And who cares at that point?
Can't forget the 4 magic belt buckles.
Oh god, yeah, you can't forget those. Donald Duck's shoes need to be fucking. Oh Jesus Christ. But no, like, I feel like Earthchild kind of gave off that same kind of vibe. At the beginning. And it felt like they tried to turn an emo song into a manga. And as a fucking elder emo, I don't know if I find that hilarious or insulting. I say here with my blue nails. But no, like, I just could not care about the series at all. I gave it a try off camera. There's just something about putting that much edge into your first few chapters. Just judging by like the back and forth we've had and like your comments in that stream, Luke, where Party Jams was just fucking destroying the series plot wise.
Yeah.
And I swear somebody needs to report a murder because like that was character assassination 101 for that series. But no, like, just hearing that, I'm like, I have no desire to continue this, you know? And it's kind of like why I never, like, even having enjoyed to some degree Seven Deadly Sins as a manga, I just couldn't give less of a shit about the sequel series. Because, like, at that point I was so far detached from it as a franchise that, you know, I'm just like, oh, they're writing a sequel? Cool. Could not care any less whatsoever. And I hear, like, the sequel's just as problematic as the original character-wise, so I'm like, I'm glad I dodged that. But yeah. I figure that'll end in the next round of axing, so probably like 3-4 months.
Probably, unless because there's 2 new manga that's supposed to be coming in like the next few weeks, so it'll probably be ending soon enough as well.
Yeah, that's probably why Doran Doran's getting the axe now, because they have something to replace it. Earthchild will probably be that next one there. Aliens Area. I know nothing about this other than it's basically Men in Black the manga.
It's pretty much that. It's basically about this.
So do we have a Tommy Lee Jones in there, or is everybody Will Smith?
No. We have a guy who has a scar like Luffy, and another guy who has a scar like Dr. Sino from Dr. Stone as the 2 main characters. Like, if you just open up the page on the Fizz,
I see that.
Yeah, you see that.
That's pretty cool. Art style looks pretty good. We've had 10 chapters of it, so it's semi-safe.
Yeah, semi-safe, but I don't know, I'm just not feeling it as a series, to be honest.
Some series last better as a 2.5-hour movie, and others definitely don't need to become a manga. I love aliens as a concept, like, you know,
I feel like the problem that I'm having with it is that we're just on Earth again.
Yeah, and, you know, insert the, like, aliens gif here, but, like, there's only so much you can do with aliens in a more kid-esque friendly
Yeah, let's
stereotype.
go. Yeah, let's not have the aliens come to us. Let's have us go to the aliens.
See, the issue is if like these characters are Americans, they probably try to fuck the aliens.
Oh yeah, good point. But yeah,
like that
it's
is that is unironically one of the most searched terms in America for Pornhub is aliens. And I blame
word.
Mass Effect and Star Trek for that. Because Tally, best girl, I would clap them cheeks. But like there was something about classic Star Trek that was really like super horny, but at the same time not horny at all.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they call it Captain Kirking it.
Oh my word.
I don't think they could get away with that in Shonen Jump, unfortunately.
No, they couldn't. But yeah, just the fact that I'm really not feeling anything and I don't see it lasting all that much, and the fact that it's towards the back of the magazine, that's only solidifying it more now.
Yeah, and I feel like it wasn't intended to, like, plot-wise be a super long series to begin with, which is why I'm kind of shocked it didn't end up in Manga Plus or Jump Plus, because, like, that's where you have the home of the, like, 16 chapters and done series.
Which is another can of worms that could be discussed in of itself.
Yeah, that can be a whole other podcast because we're reaching an hour 45.
Oh my god.
3 hours of content, Luke. 3 hours of content.
3 hours of content. 3 hours of content.
I give it like another 10, 15 chapters before we get the Axe announcement for that. But Super Smartphone, on the other hand, seems to be getting a lot of popularity here.
Yeah, I feel. How much have you read?
I have not read any of it.
Yeah.
I know what One Smart and Party Champs have been saying in the Discord server, and it's kind of intrigued me.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the modern Death Note.
That's pretty cool. Because God knows we haven't had enough attempts of that already.
Yeah, but it's basically like if Light Yagami had the Death Note, but the Death Note could speak to him, and it was a tool designed to help people rather than kill them.
So it's like a love note, basically.
Yeah, and there are others out there that have other smartphones as well, and the whole point of it is like, okay, track them down, try to get their smartphones,
and kind of buff your powers, Kamen Rider style.
Pretty much, but not lose your, because if people find out that you have a smartphone, blips out of existence.
Oh, nice. That's an intriguing plot, actually.
Yeah, and again, the reason why people are calling it the Death Note equivalent, because there's a lot of analytics. It's pretty much on the same level of Hunter x Hunter sometimes.
Oh God.
Yeah, so you can't just be like casually walking through it, because you'd be like, oh my word, how much text is here?
So I can't like read it in 27 seconds like a chapter of Black Clover.
No, you can't. You really can't.
Like I just want to mention Black Clover for a minute before we get to it in a deeper respect.
Yeah.
Like there is something so satisfying about being able to turn your fucking brain off when reading a series sometimes, because even as deep as Black Clover can be, you can grasp it just by speed blitzing through a chapter. You know, it's not so overly deep that you need to sit down with your spreadsheet and figure out how this nin power affects this other nin power in my fucking massive bullshit fight here, you know? I'm talking about Hisoka Kurolo fight there. But at the same time, you realize, like, the power system in Black Clover would be super interesting on a more advanced magic scale. But anyway, like, with, like, Super Smartphone there, like, if it's that deep in text, I really think that it's one of those that I'd have to sit down and not read on a stream, but it is definitely interesting me to a massive degree.
I have just put in mod VC chat, just an example.
Sorry I left, guys. I just had to take care of something.
Yeah, we're talking about Super Smartphone.
Yeah. Okay, so Luke, why is like
more text in Hunter x Hunter.
It really is. I kind of dig this though, because like how they're styling a lot of these chat bubbles is like your SMS. Like I kind of like that take. And then like the read by three, so this is a group chat. But at the same time, like you're having a seemingly nice tender character moment down here too, all at the same time on the same page and not being, overly drastic to read.
Yeah, because the relationship that the main character, and finally we have a main character who has a nickname that we can actually remember. Q.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why
So
why couldn't you remember Deku?
I don't know.
Yeah, because it's technically Izuku Midoriya. Get it
Yeah.
right, weeb.
Yeah, but yeah, that's basically the main character's nickname, and that's what he usually goes by, Q. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And also, it kind of has its relationship with the smartphone. It kind of reminds me of like the relationship that um, Tom Holland Spider-Man has with like his suit, where he's like, "Oh, what should I call you? Oh, I'll call you Karen."
Well, the suit definitely was a Karen for a bit.
Yeah.
But like, I again, this is a series that could go on for a while or could end pretty quickly. I see this being around the Death Note level, like 90-ish chapters.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because the only overarching question that it has about the series is that what happened to the main character's brother, because literally the main character's brother goes into a toilet when he was younger and never came out. So it's like
he went to another series. It's called Toilet Bound Hanako-kun.
Well, yeah, that's like the big question of like who is his brother. And I had theories at the beginning, like the theories are like his brother designed the super smartphones and is the one behind the voice of the super smartphone. Like it's probably related to the main antagonist. Like there's just there's a few ways it can actually go.
And those are kind of like some of the better series, like where you don't have one definitive answer for everything. Because like even something like Dr. Stone, like you knew what the initial conclusion is going to be. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to fight the White Man. Like
yeah. Unless we do get that semi Dr. Stone sequel.
Yeah, and then like we have time travel and warp drives created, so we could get that very easily. Just like we could eventually get a Hell arc for Bleach,
Yeah.
But like, and those types of series, like Super Smartphone, don't tend to last overly long. But I do think that it has a potential, like if it got animated, for example, I feel like it has the potential to get like a nice little niche following, kind of like in an Ancient Mages Bride kind of way. One of my favorite series. But like I don't picture it being like super popular. Just because it's a simple-ish premise, and it's not really going to stay for a very long extended period of time in the magazine.
Yeah.
Likely.
Yeah.
Unlike Mashal, which has had some pretty heavy staying power, and I don't understand it. And it's Harry Potter meets One Punch Man.
Yeah, I did try to give Mashal a try. I did, but it's just like I couldn't do it.
Yeah, like, and there are some series that you just cannot get into, and that is perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's like. Do you remember the sci-fi space opera epic Farscape?
I remember that.
That was a series that I felt like would have been right up my alley, but for some reason I could never get into it.
I mean, you like Red Dwarf, that would definitely be up your alley, but I also understand like why it would not be up your alley, because it is a very long drawn out Americanization of it. And that kind of really dives into like a lot more of the American themes than, a more British series like Red Dwarf. But it also has a lot of staying potential here in particular. Like it fucking stayed for a while, and it really was an interesting show. I liked Babylon 5. It didn't stay very long, but I really got into that. There's a fucking old mail-in program here. I don't know if you had it, like sort of like Columbia House for CDs, but it was for DVDs, and you could get like box sets for seemingly dollars on the fucking $100 sets back then. You know, I think I paid for the first season of Babylon 5 like $20 through it. When like at Best Buy it was still like $150 because
Wow.
we overpriced the shit out of everything here. So I got it there, and then I didn't realize like that was only your first couple. So I canceled the program, resubscribe under like my mom's name or my dad's name. This is totally illegal, I feel like, but like the statute of limitation for this is way over. Because I was like fucking 8 when I did this. I would sign up under their name. And get like the second season, and you know, sign up under the other parent's name, and then get the third season. And then I signed back under my name because by then I let the year expire, and that's how I got a lot of my DVD collection. And that program surprisingly went out of business, probably because they now knowing what I did now that I didn't back then, you know, like they were buying these things in wholesale. You know, and not being able to meet paying back, you know, any of the loans because of the overhead for like buying hundreds of thousands of fucking different movies on wholesale prices and then not being able to recoup any of the losses. But those like fucking there was 100,000 of these things. That's how I got all my CDs as a kid. That's how I like all that shit. But that's how I also experienced outside of the books, like the first few Harry Potter movies.
Okay.
And I grew up loving the Harry Potter franchise, so I thought Mashal would be right up my alley because I also love One Punch Man. Not to the degree that they do, Red and Thurman, but it's a series I just love being able to shut my brain off with and watch pretty fights, you know.
Yeah, and I do enjoy the Harry Potter franchise, even if the author isn't.
Is a fucking piece of shit. I'll just say it.
Yeah, but I can still enjoy the franchise with
while acknowledging that J.K. Rowling is a piece of shit.
Which is why I'm looking forward to like that Hogwarts Steam game that's coming.
I'll be sailing the high seas for that. But
I'll take a piss on it with my friends, and then we'll just marshmallow.
Well, I'll play it and see see if it's worth playing.
I'll just pirate it.
Okay.
I'm not going to give her any money for that. I know the developer said that no money's going to that. I will unashamedly say I'm not going to give any money to a problematic author like that. That's why like any of the Funko Pops I buy now, I buy secondhand.
Okay.
But like that way, no money's directly going into Rowling's account. But anyway, like, you think like being fans of those series, we would be able to get into something like this, and it just bored the fuck out of me. I read I think 8 chapters that stream, and I'm just like, he is like, I can see like why it's popular. Like I can see that effect, but to me, he's the most boring milquetoast protag in all of Jump right now. And that's in a lineup with fucking Deku in it. But
the protagonist in High School Family is more interesting than MASH.
Oh god, yeah, dude, I really. I don't understand why High School Family is still in that magazine.
I know why. Like after reading it myself, I get it because people love the dynamic between the family.
I guess, but
again, just reading it, like it's just weird. It's just weird. Like I would be
the most boring fucking plot I have read in a manga.
Yeah. I would have been perfectly fine if it was like high school siblings where it's like the brother and the sister are the ones that just go to high school.
Right. Not drag the mom, the dad, the fucking cat, you know.
And the brother just tries to one up his sister every single time, and he's just like getting so annoyed that his sister is a genius more so than him.
And I'm just like, I think I read what 2 chapters of that stream, and I just
Yeah, you did.
I could not continue that. And those I can picture High School Family the way it is written, sadly lasting like another 5 years.
Yeah, because it is basically just it is basically a gag series.
It's a gag series and a high school life, and
Yeah.
we know those are 2 genres that Japan loves. And we have also in that same vein the slice of life aspect of it, which is another one that is very popular to a more Eastern audience. And now with Mashal ending, I can picture it, judging by what I've heard in it and doing no research of my own, I give it about a year.
Yeah, I would say Mashal, are you talking?
Yeah, Mashal a year.
I would say more like half a year.
Really?
Yeah,
Make your
'cause
case there.
didn't the author say that it was in the final stages?
Yeah, but like it's the same wording as like something akin to Dr. Stone would be like when it was wrapping up. You know, there's a lot of different verbiage used for ending a series in Jump. I wish there was like one particularly concise way of like, our series is ending in 5 chapters. Buckle up, you know. Shit's about to get real, you know. The final villain arrives, and you know, shit like that makes it really jarring, you know, because we don't really know like a time frame for stuff like that. I get why they don't do it, because like Gintama had that same issue and then had to Jump magazines for the last few chapters, but
Yeah.
it makes it very confusing, like, because technically we're in the final stages for Black Clover, but we're in the final I forget what Oda used for One Piece.
Oda used final
Saga,
arc,
wasn't it?
Arc saga final stages because literally now that Wano is wrapping up, we literally only have like 3 locations left, two if you want to be generous, and that's like Elbath, Laugh Tale, and then go into like the world government itself. But if you want to take out the world government, then you've only got like Elbath and Laugh Tale left.
Right, and when you get to that point, you know, you realize like, well, it's finally ending. After all this time, you really kind of fucking shot yourself in the foot. But the thing for me is I really don't like all the different verbiage that we get for these, and it's particularly frustrating as AniTubers, because we had in the last like few years we've had an arc that lasted 7 years, and we're still not even halfway done with that series apparently.
What series is this?
One Punch Man. The Garu arc was 7 years long.
Really? Oh.
Yep.
7 years long for the Garo arc?
What is this? The 4th Great Ninja War arc?
Even that wasn't that long though. That was like 2.5 years max.
Wano?
No,
Wano's
was
4 years.
Yeah, Wano was 4 years. The Great Ninja War was like 2.5. Like, but Garu was 7, and it drug on so long because it's a monthly series. When you break it down like that, like, it makes sense. But at the same time, it was like fucking 18, 19 chapters in the webcomic, if I remember right. So just put that in perspective, how much he stretched that out, having somebody that was willing to do the art for him. But we're still not done with One Punch Man, at least halfway done with it.
Oh my word.
Right.
Can Popeye just come into the One Punch Man universe already?
That's the only fair battle, as we know, as contributed to by Death Battle.
That was the best death battle of all time.
Unless you're Renegades Media.
Oh God. But like no, and then we have like final stage, final arc, final war, final saga. We have all these different verbiages that typically mean different lengths of time. So unless we really know like what exactly it is for Mashal, we really can't gauge it. But at the same time, I think he said he wanted to end it in like a year or so. And that was like half a year ago. So you might be right, but it
Yeah.
feels like there's still a year's worth of content from what I've been told. With High School Family, I don't fucking know here.
I feel like it could potentially go on for like another, depending on what the author wants to do. Like go on for another like 2 or 3 years.
Because
I feel like it will end around the same time as what as like when One Piece is just wrapping up as well.
oh god, that's disgraceful. How about P6?
This is all you
Oh,
guys.
This is me.
Yeah, I have nothing to say
So-
because
So, what do you want me to say on P6?
So I feel like this is one of the more interesting modern Jump titles that we've gotten because it's a whole genre we don't typically see a lot of. Like,
It's a music manga, which I appreciate being a music guy.
right, and that's why I gravitate more towards this than Akane, because I'm too a music person. I fucking love that industry, that performative aspect of it. It's why I love doing all the shit that I do on the side. Being able to like just jump into like stage bands and shit like that. But you really have kind of gotten to the point where like a music manga feels so out of place in this magazine because everything else that's in here is either a gag or a battle shonen, it feels like. And other than, and even to some degree, P6 and Akane have their own like little battle aspects in them, which is really cool. More so Akane, but with P6, I don't feel like it will last super long. I do feel like it will have more staying power than Akane if it gets that skyrocket, because music is something that a lot more than just that Eastern audience can gravitate to, where where like that genre of performance is really only popular there, whereas P6 and music is like more generalized and loved everywhere,
Yeah.
I want to see this animated so bad. Just because of the wacky art style of it, I want to see this animated so bad. But I don't feel like this is an anime or a manga that will get an anime.
It makes me sad that that's probably the truth.
yeah, I'll just say one thing. If it did get an anime, I feel like I would like it a lot more because I just want to hear the music,
Mhm.
like the actual music itself. Is like why I prefer the anime for Your Lie in April over the manga.
Mhm. It just
Your Lie in April got a manga?
Yeah, Your Lie in April is anime is based on a manga.
I
Huh.
think it was anime first and then got localized as a manga. I'm not sure.
No, the manga came first.
So, if that's true, like, I didn't know I had a fucking manga until like a year ago. It was one of the last things I got in a loot crate. For the loot anime, it was like a fucking volume of Your Lie in April. But yeah, I gave that to. It was not a series I planned on collecting because I already own the anime. I'm like, well, I can give this to like the manga exchange that comes to our Comic-Con.
Yeah, the manga came out in 2011, the anime came out in 2014, and the manga wrapped up just as the anime was wrapping up as well.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. Learning live on the podcast. But like that's so true though. Like hearing the music versus reading the music is a very different thing because you can't really enjoy that performance on paper unless you can read music, and that's also not actively shown. You're not seeing the sheet music for every single note. You're not seeing like the actual like lead up to a performance where like you're getting that animated and like getting those interactions with them like going through and practicing. You're getting the like moments of like here's this grandiose performance. That's why I think like for example, I would rather see the performance for the Rakugo and Akane. because it would be something a lot more telling, from an animation perspective, like the different gestures and shit that they go through, versus like here is one pose and here is next pose in the manga. And seeing it in a fluid motion would be so much better. I feel like it'd be a lot more impactful. I feel like that would be the one that would get the anime though. But
Yeah.
I don't think it would get dubbed. I think it would be like one of those it's sub only. So P6, how long do we think it's going to last? Because this is where I'm kind of torn, Tyler.
What's up?
P6, how long do we think it's going to last?
I give it a year.
Yeah, I feel like that's a generous offer here because, again, it's a music manga. There's not a whole lot that needs to be wrapped up in it because it's a music manga. But I do think that year there, if it was to get an anime announcement, might skyrocket a lot in popularity. I also feel like this is going to have that niche, like you're not Lion April fandom. It's not going to be like super stay worthy on that aspect. It's not going to burst into mainstream.
Yeah, like I don't know, maybe Studio Bones can animate it for fun when they're not doing My Hero or baseball.
Oh wait, I thought that was porn. Never mind.
No,
were you guys talking about hentai for?
I was making it.
no.
I know Bones wouldn't animate it, but I was just making it funny.
But like, I feel like that would be like pretty on par with them though. But I really, it's still like one of those I don't feel like it's gonna see a big anime production. It'll be like one of those little tiny ones. If you wanna, this.
Put those in there.
Yeah. And I'll make you a drink. I'll make you a drink when we're.
Sorry for the interruption, you guys, but technically I'm like second part of the channel, so I can interrupt. We're talking about if it's Bleach, Mickey Mouse, Ichigo.
Oh God!
My God!
We'll get to the adaptation of that by the end of it.
Are you still going to the movies?
Yeah. That'll be tonight though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like, so Undead Unluck is the next one, right? And this is the one that I would love to shit on a lot. But
Of course.
With it getting an animation adaptation here, I'm very angry. Content angry, not, actually angry. Because it is one of those series that is going to draw up a lot of controversy again. And that's why I'm angry. I'm angry because it's going to get milked for that first episode. And we are very fucking guilty of this as a channel. Because that first chapter we made a video because of all the controversy. We're like, well, how bad is it really? And it taints itself out over time. But you're going to see that initial, like, anime is bad because it corrupts the youth kind of takes again. Because the first chapter is like, girl trying to kill self and full-on naked man.
It's gonna have the Rising of the Shield Hero effect.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm angry, because it's one of those things that it's going to be drawn up for controversy simply for the sake of controversy. And that is the only way it's going to stay in the limelight for a while again. Because everybody's going to be like, it's the lewd, edgy series, go read it, and realize, like, later down the line, there are actually, like, moral stories inside this stupid fucking manga that I'm not a big fan of anymore. But there is content in there that is worth diving into, because it does deal with those, like, mental illnesses. It does deal with, like, a lot of the fucking like the cause of depression. It deals with the terms of immortality and stuff like that, and all while trying to keep JRPG itself into popularity, and it worked because the whole joke is we got to kill God.
Yeah, and now it's like heading towards that climax of killing God.
Mm-hmm. So I don't picture this lasting like another year. This is gonna be one of those 6 months ones.
Yeah,
it's gonna have that same edgy fan base that likes Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to, I'd say, February. It starts wrapping up.
Really, that soon?
Yeah, because September, October, November, December, January. That's 6 months away.
Yeah. Where the fuck is this year gone?
I know.
Like, I'm not even joking at this point. Like, I have so little concept of time that until yesterday, I thought it was still like the first week of August.
No, we're in like nearly the 3rd week.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I gotta go to work in like an hour, so I'm gonna go get ready for work. I'll catch you guys later.
All right.
Alrighty, we're
Until
gonna
next
wrap
time,
this up.
Chaos Heights.
Thanks
Peace.
Thanks for hopping in, Tyler. But yeah, like that seems fair. Elusive Samurai. This one's another one that's super popular in the East. I really don't see it. I talked about this in like the politics video. I'm not a fan of this, content in particular. I really try to give it a try because I loved Assassination Classroom, but the creepy priest guy turned me off to this one. But I do see that it's popular, and it's more of it's kind of like the Kingdom Effect, like that
Yeah.
type of series is much more popular in the East. I don't see this one lasting that much longer either because this author only writes really like medium length series, and it's already approaching that same length.
Yeah, I want to check out what was the last chapter.
It was 73.
Okay, yeah. So I'd say about another 2 years because that would take it to like
S-class
one
level.
S-class level. Yeah.
I don't picture this one getting a big fandom at all. It's not as popular here. I think this will be one of those underground series. If you like the author and you like this type of content, you'll enjoy the series. If not, you're not going to enjoy it. Blue Box, one of those interesting ones. I don't understand why the fuck it's potentially getting an anime adaptation. There are 64 chapters. I know that's around when a series normally gets an anime announcement, like around that 60 chapter mark. But it feels like such an odd one out because it's two very competing genres. It's that slice of life plus that sports. And it feels like it got a very special treatment. I believe you stuck with this one more than me.
Yeah, I stuck with it a little bit more because I was enjoying like certain aspects of it, but they just kind of fizzled out to the point that even in the series itself, the characters were just like, "Look, just do something already."
Okay, so I don't picture this one lasting that much longer either because it seems to be kind of falling out of popularity. At least from the Manga Plus charts, it's dropping pretty significantly. It's not dropping to the point where like it'll get axed. I feel like it'll reach its natural conclusion, kind of thing. But it'll be kind of like let out the door, kind of like they did Kubon in the end.
I think like it'll kind of like do what. Well, We Never Learn was kind of unique in the sense that its story ended, but the author wanted to do like everyone wins in the end.
Yeah, I think that this will last maybe about another year, maybe 2.
Yeah,
because it has its moments in popularity, but it's starting to fizzle out. I do feel like that's a natural wrapping point for it as well as those two genres.
Yeah, because really, the only things that I can see happening is like, okay, he confesses to one of the girls, and then after that, doing the whole sports thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's perfectly fine for that type of series. How about Roboco though?
Me and Roboco, that's a series that's kind of in the same vein as kind of like Witch Watch in the sense that, Roboco falls more definitely into the gag series, but it's kind of like a meta sort of series in the sense that it acknowledges series that are in Shonen Jump to the point that you have all the volume covers being parodies of other
You got
Jump
Death Note
titles
recently.
Yeah,
which blasphemy to me, but
I could definitely.
I don't mind. Just for clarification, I don't mind that it does these little homages. I just find it a little distasteful when you're literally in a gag series doing this, but at the same time, you're a gag series that is trying to take itself so fucking seriously that it kind of feels like a slap in the face to that genre too. because now we have it going from gag to just straight up battle.
I feel
just
like that might make it more funnier to people. The fact that it does take itself seriously whilst all this wackiness is going, kind of like
it's
like,
kind of the same thing as One Piece, though. Like it has its wacky moments, but it takes itself super seriously. I get why that's a popular trend. I just don't get Roboco, and I love
Yeah.
gag series, but I just
Yeah.
don't get this one.
I did not get. I mean, I've tried to read it, and it's just one of the main characters' designs is just so off point to me. It's one of the. It's like this. I'll find his picture, and then you can see what I mean.
Okay. But like, I get why these types of series are popular. I also very much appreciate that this author is such a mega fan of Jump that it kind of dives into all these different like niche references. Like you've had everything from Yu-Gi-Oh to like Hikaru no Go. You've had homages to Death Note. You've had homages to Bleach. You've had all sorts of like little, like paying their dues kind of thing. It's
In
just,
the last chapter, you even have a homage to Undead Unluck, because the Roboco is basically dressed how Fuko was dressed in the spring arc of
Yep.
Undead Unluck.
I saw that. But it's one of those that you can see going forever, kind of like Kochikame,
Yeah.
and it's one of those that you could see ending in a week, because like,
Oh yeah.
it's written to that style of gag to where like when it knows it's stayed its welcome, it's going to see itself out the door, probably in some super self-aware way because it's gag.
Yeah, probably.
Like, oh, our time has come. See y'all in the next series, kind of thing. Breaking the fourth wall
Yeah.
like Deadpool. But
yeah, it's this character that's just so off point to me that I've put in the mod VC.
oh god, what in the fuck is that?
I know, and it's meant to be an elementary school kid. I'm just like, what?
Have you ever seen the British tea towels that they make had kids make back in the 90s?
Yeah, because I've got one.
So it kind of feels like one of those drawings, doesn't it?
Yeah, it do. It kind of feels like one of the drawings from one of the kids in my old primary school that did it for my mum when she works there.
I didn't know if that was like an all of Britain thing or it was like just some provinces over there. But
no, it's an all Britain thing.
Okay, so good reference was good, but that's kind of how that reminds me of. That's kind of how a lot of like fucking Shaman King's characters make me feel now, having been educated on that tradition. But it could stay or it could go. It's one of those like I would love to see it exit Jump as quickly as possible. That's just my preference. So if it ended next week, I wouldn't give a shit. But I definitely see it because it's getting that anime. I figure it'll be like shorter, like minisodes kind of things.
Yeah, it'll probably only be like, I'd say on average 5 to 10 minutes per episode.
Yeah, essentially like it'll be a Robot Chicken short.
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel like that will give it enough content for another year or two, at least, because with it entering like this battle shonen style, it can drag itself out a little bit more. Whereas Witch Watch, there's not a whole lot at the end of their chapter to progress. I'll let you talk about this one while I step away to use the restroom for like 2 minutes.
Yeah. With Witch Watch, obviously being what we like to call the new modern day Gintama, it's kind of in an interesting spot as a series, because it's one of those series where it could end whenever it wants, but at the same time it could do whatever it wants, because of the fact that it's just so niche. The cast is so unique and has different aspects to them, and they just bounce off each other really, really well. And there is an overarching plot of just like protecting Nico, and also these other aspects of the world that still need to be developed. But at the same time, it's not a series that doesn't take itself too seriously at times. But when it does, like its serious arcs are never in the midst of just like you're never gonna get like a serious moment where it's like, okay, we had one chapter where Nico and the people they're doing a Minecraft sort of like style story, and then all of a sudden you get into like the dark aspects of Nemu's life, which by the way, that author is teasing me about Nemu being in the house.
Oh god, yeah. We got
Yeah.
some random girl joining the house before Nemu.
It's like
It's very funny, but it's also very insulting.
very insulting. It's just like, just get Nemu in the house already. Especially now that we know that she simps. She's basically doing the Professor Brunette from Pokemon with Kengo,
Oh
being
yeah,
a simp for both personalities.
exactly. I love it. I want this series to last for another 10 years, but I know it won't.
I think it could potentially last for. Okay, if I'm being generous, I could see it potentially lasting for the same level that Haikyuu did, for like 400 chapters.
Oh yeah, and that I can see that one. I know we're past the era of long running, super long running series. We're not going to ever see another like 1,000+ chapter series.
No, definitely not.
But and we kind of touched on that a bit in the politic video, like seeing like a healthier aspect, and even like with the Ruby Dragon segment here, like we want to see authors focus more on their own personal health than creating content for us, because at the end of the day, the healthier they are, the more content they can make for us in the long run. I know it's a selfish way to put it, but that's a very true statement.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like something like a Witch Watch, or I just noticed I have a Windows Update logo down on my bar, and I'm just praying to Jesus Christ that this computer does not decide to reset in the middle of this recording.
Okay. Have you got it put on where it doesn't do that? And you have
Oh,
to do it manually?
I do, but that doesn't mean it's not going to try to do that, because Windows 10 hates me.
Okay.
So I know I can prevent it because I'm right here at my mouse. But it's still the most terrifying icon to a creator.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I find series like Witch Watch such a fascinating take for Jump, because you know that they're a successful genre. You know that these very wholesome slice of life stories are successful, and at the same time, having something that's basically Bewitched the manga is so fucking awesome. For somebody that grew up in the '90s and grew up with Bewitched. I know, very odd series to grow up with, but I fucking love stuff like that. And at the same time, I know a series like Witch Watch could end in a week or 2 weeks, because it's very super self-contained as well. And that's been this whole like recent segment of Jump. But like you said, I could see this being like a 400 chapter series. I would love to see it stay forever.
Yeah. You'd love it if it was like the next One Piece, wouldn't you?
Oh, I'd be totally happy with that, because I've been here since the beginning. I feel like that's the thing with the One Piece fans. Like, if you've been there since the beginning, it means so much more to you,
Yeah.
because you have caught on like early on into the One Piece craze. Like you have this more of a, like, my best friend is a big One Piece fan. She fucking loves it. She suffered through the slow burn of the anime too. So
Oh dear.
like when she was catching up with Naruto, I'm like, well, prepare for a massive filler. She's like, I suffered through the One Piece anime. I think I can deal with Naruto filler. I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child. There's so much more filler in Naruto. And I touched base with her like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, oh, so how are you enjoying filler arc 17? Because it's hyperbole, yes, but there are so many more filler arcs in fucking Naruto than there are in One Piece, and especially Shippuden. Like, that is like half filler in the anime.
Oh god.
Like, no cap, that is half fucking filler. Like, that anime, if it was not being made weekly, could have been like 250 episodes, and
Wow.
and perfectly fine. There is a subreddit called Naruto Kai, where they basically DBZ Kai out all of the fucking filler. Like to the level that Dragon Ball Z Kai did. There's also a dude that went famous or like semi-viral on Twitter for cutting out all the filler himself, so they could him and his girlfriend could watch Naruto together. And that is a dedication to a partner.
That is a dedication.
Like he sat, obviously illegally torrented all the fucking episodes. At that point, or took his DVD copies or something and ripped them in like Handbrake. Like I do with all my DVDs and Blu-rays, is I just put them up in a media server, so I don't have to dig out all of my shit anymore. Like I have the physical copies, but at the same time, I don't want to dig through 8 boxes of fucking Blu-rays to dig out like MCU movie 20. I know in this example, I could go on fucking Disney Plus and watch it. In fact, I did over the weekend because I wasn't where I could just pull it up.
Speaking, just to go off on a quick tangent here. Speaking of that, they're so desperate for content that in 2020 CBR did Naruto 10 things every fan needs to know about Naruto Kai.
Oh my good goddamn!
Yeah.
It retched fucking CBR. Of course, it retched CBR because I feel like their articles are made by an AI at this point.
Probably.
Like they shit out 12 articles a day, at least on my Google homepage.
Who do they think they are? Watch Mojo?
Even Watch Mojo's cut it back, which is shocking to me. But they also spun like half of their content into other channels.
Yeah. I think Watch Mojo are really running out of ideas. Like people say Pokemon's run out of ideas. I think Watch Mojo run out of ideas way before Pokemon did.
Luke, we have a sentient pair of keys and a sentient trash bag and a sentient fucking dough dog and a sentient ice cream cone. I think Pokemon's perfectly fine, but at the same time, they need help. Like we have Pokemon battles on bikes now.
Which is cool. I don't care what anyone says.
It's Pokemon 5Ds.
Yeah, it's Pokemon 5Ds, but then again, in Pokemon Adventures, we had battles where they were running around.
We also have Pokemon like battles in the sky. Like I think it was Skyla that had the like battle that was literally in like what was a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Here's fucking Talonflame versus Talonflame. Go nuts, kids. But like it was cool. Like Pokemon is one of those franchises that could always have an idea. But like the next one like is Black Clover. I'm just going in reverse order from Weekly Shonen Jump's tab here in Manga Plus. Black Clover is in its final saga or final arc or whatever. It's in an interesting place, especially after this last chapter, that I don't think it's going to be as long as a final arc as we thought.
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be about half the length of the Alpha Reincarnation arc.
Yeah, I think it was the last like Black Clover chapter review we did. I said that, or it might have been another podcast. I don't recall. After you've made so many videos, they start to blend together,
Yeah.
But I know we've had this conversation. Like I said, I think it would be like a 3-year final arc. I think a year and a half max.
Yeah, a year and a half max, because of the way that Tabata has never been able to get out of that. Like, I need it to be fast paced. Style of writing. I mean, he kind of did with the Lucifer fight, because that was the longest fight. That's the longest fight in Black Clover, period.
Oh, yeah. I'm somehow tired and wide awake at the same time. It's the most annoying feeling. And it's only 4 o'clock here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it was crazy that, because every week we were just thinking, like, blimey, how long is this fight going to go on for?
It was, like, those reviews were so fun to me because, like, and we're going to get back to them here on this channel, not on the second channel. I want to have some manga content on this channel. But, like, there's something so satisfying about that run of reviews from, like, the Spade arc to me, because it was so fast paced, but at the same time, it drug on to the right length of degree. It didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome, but at the same time, it felt like it was trying to wrap itself up every week. And
Yeah.
I loved particularly like Magnus' fight because it made him such much more popular character. He was being memed to hell, and he did arguably as much as the captains in
Oh,
one
yeah, for
fucking
sure.
fight though. Like it wasn't drug out after like we need to take on like these tiny fucking demons over here and kind of run backwash while fucking Asta and crew mops up the actual antagonist of this arc. Magna fucking did just as much as them in one fight, and it was so satisfying to see him get a W.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Lucifero's fight, it was this most drug out fight in the entire series, like you said. I don't think we're gonna get that with this like Dark Julius here arc. I feel like we're gonna get it wrapped up pretty conclusively, and then that demon's gonna have to hunt for another fucking host, and then
Well-
that's gonna be the kind of wrap up here because I think Asta will be willing to kill the Wizard King if it meant saving his friend.
Yeah. Which that new host is going to be from what I saw before the chapter came out. It's going to be Sister Lily.
And then this is gonna be like I failed. I've surpassed the Wizard King, but I failed to protect my beloved.
Yeah, which a lot of people were like, I don't think a lot of people. I think a few people were upset that the Sister Lily got rejected, but I'm there just thinking like, well, she technically did raise Asta, so it would have been kind of weird.
Different culture. I don't think it'd be as weird in Japan, but like to us and our audience, like it would be a lot more weird. I feel like that rejection there is the most positive thing because now he can focus on Noel, and
Yeah.
it's somebody that actually desires him, instead of a nun. But it's also one of those more sad moments because you realize like that's the end of that character arc. That's growth from him and being like, I know you can't have me, so I'm going to move on moment. And that's such a beautiful moment because from the beginning of the series, he had this desire to marry nobody but Sister Lily.
Yeah.
So I'm glad and sad that that's, wrapping up because it kind of feels like we're wrapping up Black Clover. And this is arguably a series, like, in the channel's early ages, I fucking despised, and then I grew to love. It's not the greatest written series on the fucking planet by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something that formed into its own unique series. It started so, like, seemingly generically to me that I just couldn't grasp it, but, like, it moved into its own as it continued to expand its lore and kind of introduce these more lovable characters, because at the very beginning, like, Asta was like this unlovable prick to me, but now I'm starting to have like feelings and attachments to this character because he's become somewhat of a normal human being.
As he's gotten older.
And also became a devil in of itself. So like I really I'm going to miss this series out of all of these they're wrapping up the most because it's kind of wrapping up a channel arc too,
Yeah.
because
And I,
it went from like this whole meme of me trolling the old reviews that we did with somebody that's no longer with the channel to this like Thurman and I enjoying reviewing the series, together, to having like whole streams surrounding on me catching up to it. It's the end of something beautiful for the channel when it wraps up, and it's sad to see, because it'll be like the last manga review on this main channel too.
yeah, and I'm gonna miss it as well when it ends, but at the same time, this is why I mentally prepare myself with other series in the magazine.
Mhm. Yeah, and you gotta kind of find your niche. Like for me, like Ruby Dragon will be replacing it. And when Yo's Famines ends, like Witch Watch was like the replacement for that. Like I always try to keep a couple series going in the magazine. I arguably read more out of Jump Plus now or other magazines I do from like Straight Jump.
Okay.
because I kind of like the style of the Jump Plus series more, because they don't feel like they're going to potentially end, you know. And
Which is kind of ironic when we've got many series ending.
yeah, I had to bite my tongue there because we do have a lot of like more of them ending like in 2 volumes. But I feel like it's more on the author's choice, and it's like you're canceled. Makes it feel
Oh,
a
yeah.
little less of a sting. Like, oh, this author's ending their series versus like, oh, this didn't meet sales expectations, so we're canceling it. We're corporate. JJK is an interesting one though, because it's one that I binge and then I end, and then I binge and then I end. I haven't read like the last like 15, 20 chapters of JJK, so I have no idea where it's at story wise, but I know it's also wrapping up.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty much one of the only things I know about JJK, because I just the paneling, like I've said this before, but the panel
Oh, the
layout,
paneling is dog shit.
yeah, and that's the reason why I could never get into the manga.
I feel like you have a lot more of an issue with that than a lot of people, but it's a very valid criticism because I felt the same way trying to make it into a stream series, right?
Yeah,
It's so distracting the way they lay out their panels. Guige is a masterful storyteller in their own right, but at the same time, like the way they lay their page out is so fucking frustrating because you'll have blocks of text obscuring parts of the art. You'll have
Yeah.
full, like almost half the. I remember it was like chapter 5 or 6 when we were streaming it. You had basically half of a page be all text, where it was talking about like how the curse technique starts to work. It was one of the early chapters, and it was just them like breaking down bits of the power system.
yeah, I'm looking at chapter 5 now. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it
It's
is.
basically the whole fucking page is text, and that was the moment where I gotta read this off screen because I can't make interesting content out of this while trying to entertain chat while also trying to read a deep dive in how eating a finger affects my body.
Yeah. Now the thing is, I do want to check out the anime adaptation of it, but at the same time,
anime is very, very satisfying. It's what got me back into it, was watching the anime, and I'm like, okay, I kind of want to dive back into this, and then I started reading it. I pick it up in like 15, 20 chapter chunks because I don't really want to sit down and commit a whole lot of time to it, but at the same time I want to see where the story goes because I am invested in the characters at this point. But I don't think it's going to last too overly long, but I feel like it's going to be the longer one out of these wrap ups, you know. Other than
Yeah.
One Piece, like out of the this generation's wrap ups, I feel like this could be the 2-3 year one.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, the page from chapter 6 that I've just put in mod VC, like that paneling is just like, what the hell?
No, but like seriously, like it's like just this is more bearable than some of them. Like there's whole fucking chapters where it's like mostly text, and
Oh gosh.
like for something like Hunter x Hunter, I don't mind it as well. I don't overly mind it with JJK. It's just annoying when trying to create content out of it, but at the same time,
Yeah.
like story wise, it all makes sense. Like Gage does make that paneling make sense, you know, a few pages down the line. But it's just so overly distracting, especially when like you're hyper ADHD mode and you're like, I just want to get through this. I kind of want to consume my hobby and do the thing and get the dopamine. But when you're
Yeah.
reading fucking a novel, you know, it's kind of ugh. But yeah, I feel like it's a 2-3 year mark for this one.
Yeah.
I do want to see a lot more from the sidecast and this final wrap up here. And
Okay.
we're starting to get like more of that in it, but I don't want it to be the Yuji show there's such a diverse cast of characters between, the Gojos and the fucking Panda Dude and all that you could write almost like spin-offs out of them, a la Shaman King.
Now, you see, the reason why I want to give the anime a chance is just because of the panda. Like, I just want to see what that's all about.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I love him just because it's so unexpected. And then you get into like the fucking Volume 0 shit and you're like, "Oh god." Like there's so much in that particular cast, especially like Volume 0 and like that movie, that it really made me more invested in that side cast.
Okay, yeah. I just want to wait for the hype to die down for Jujutsu Kaisen so that I can all right, I can enjoy this without
Yeah.
feeling the need to hide my enjoyment of it.
Oh yeah, it's the same way I am with My Hero. I totally get that. So Akane is more your thing.
Yeah, Akane. The reason why I like it is pretty much for the reason why you and Tyler like PPPP, because obviously being more on the acting side and me being an actor as well, that it just really resonates with me, and the fact that aside from one particular manga, which is very controversial now.
Oh yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. We don't really have a lot of manga that focus mainly on acting, acting or performance wise.
Yeah, and I get why you like it on that aspect. I feel like this is something that will do so much better animated though. Like I was.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
I think that would be my way to get into it more because it feels art wise to me a little bit stiff.
Yeah, because the way I can envision the Rakugos happening in the anime, and one thing I found out fascinating is that there are Rakugos all around the world. Like there's one Rakugo performer in Canada, which is very very fascinating. Like
I can see that. I can see that being like a thing, like traveling Rakugo, like traveling musicians back in the day.
What I feel would work best for an anime is if they did the Rakugo stories, like they go into sort of like a flashback, but they have the actual character. Like say Akane's doing a Rakugo about a fishman. She's actually in that setting of the fishman.
I know this is an odd comparison, but there were World of Remnant episodes, like mini episodes about like the different districts inside Remnant for Ruby, different things like how dust was manufactured, stuff like that. I feel like those, and then like in the recent seasons, because they did away with like the World of Remnant stuff, they started inserting like that lore into the show itself and animating it. There was one particular episode where Red and I were really fascinated about like finding out like how the god of life and death kind of did a lot of things there for the plot of the show and cursing Salem and a lot of that shit. And the way that was animated, I feel like I could see the Rakugo stuff. Like I can almost envision stuff like that, which makes that seem like it would be a really good idea. Is what I'm getting at. Because that particular scene, like we talk about the fisherman, you can kind of just pop it in and be like, "This is the story of the fisherman," and and it would make it seem so much more realistic versus like watching the just various poses and pipping in like, "This is the fishman, this is him going to grab the fish, this is him, failing to catch it and being sucked out to sea," kind of thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and also as well because of the fact that they do talk about a lot of like what it means to please an audience. It's like that's something like I can relate to, and be like, oh yeah, I get this. So it's more enjoyable for me.
Yeah. So there's a famous bit from Norm Macdonald. Rest in peace. But like he would kind of just stay back if he bombed a show, right? Just completely no joke landed, and shake everybody's hand so they would remember his face for when he did well. And this kind of relates like to Akane because the dad was that failed comedian, so to
Oh
speak.
yeah.
And he would be the one there that was trying to make everybody happy. Because I remember like the first few chapters before Akane became the performer, like it was all his story, and you felt like he was trying to make it as this performer and leave his corporate job and kind of make his hobby succeed. It's a very relatable story in that regard. And then Akane kind of wanting to be like, I can do it for my dad, because I have the talent where he didn't.
Yeah.
You can see, stories like that in a lot of media, and it makes make so much more sense. And for you being a performer, like I feel like in this regard, you would resonate more with like the wanting to please everybody and make the most memorable performance that you can day in and day out. But you also realize like there's days where you're not going to have that. And
Yeah, definitely. Like I've had my fair share of days where it's just been like they've just been sat there, just being like,
what did I
but
do
then,
wrong?
but then, like recently, that really like got me happy. There was like we did a performance on with the group that I'm with at the moment that we're doing Shakespeare's The Tempest, starring that. We did a performance on loan sharks, loan shark people, and even though I was sick with a cold, I still managed to get through everything and got a standing ovation for my monologue, which really made me feel really proud of myself.
Exactly. Like you can have those big boastful moments in this kind of performance, and that's something that's so really unique about performing in general. Like for me and PPPP, like being more of a musician, like
Yeah.
selling out a stadium has always been a goal of mine. I know realistically I'm not going to sell out a fucking stadium. I'm not going to, sell out like St. Andrews Hall here, for example.
Yeah.
I'm just not. That's not realistic for the type of performance I put on as a musician versus you not you having to realize like as you grow like maybe I overshot my goals and
Yeah.
I want to make the most memorable performance wherever I go, and I don't care if I never sell out a stadium anymore or a performance hall or something like that. Whereas like for Akane, like her goal now seems to be living up for her father's dreams.
Yeah,
And
and also at the moment in the manga, she's kind of at that point where she's trying to win a competition to get an interview with the guy that rejects her father, just so that she can ask him, like, "Hey, why did you do that?"
oh yeah, see, I feel like if this gets animated, I'll be more akin to follow the story. But like it's something that just with that alone, that's like a whole like 10, 20 chapters kind of thing for the style of manga.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to place like how long this would last.
I feel like it could go on for 2 to 3 years because they've got like the whole like structure of like, okay, these are the different levels of what to reach to become a professional rakugo, and Akane's only at like the second to last one, so she's still got a way to go before she's up there. Plus the fact that she's getting mentored by other people in like the company that she's part of, so I could definitely see her down the line getting a mentoree herself and going through what they all went through with her,
Mm-hmm.
but also getting one that's just as stubborn as she is. Because that's one problem with Akane as a character, is that she's stubborn as a mule.
Exactly. And with her being stubborn, that's a great character trait for dragging a series out too. Like you even had it with Naruto, like him being stubborn and wanting to protect everybody and wanting to kind of talk no jutsu his way throughout it. It kind of led to a lot more dragged out fights. Trying to save Zabuza versus Kakashi's instinct of just to kill him. You know.
Yeah.
And then, well, I mean, spoiler alert, he gets revived as a fucking zombie too. As does like everyone else on that fucking cast, because why not drag out an already drug out arc? But no, like that is such a great character trait for making a story last longer, and that's something that I kind of respect with this.
Yeah. It got to the point where her teacher was like in the manga, like, okay, I know you want to be a Rakugo, but at the same time, go to college, get your education, have a backup. But she was still like, no, this is definitely what I want to do. But even I was like thinking like, yeah, you kind of need to do that, Akane.
Yeah. That's a whole debatable topic of if you need to go to college, but
No, I mean, like just have a backup. It just
yeah, have a backup. Absolutely, you have to have a backup plan for everything. Like if I would have went into my original like career field, I wouldn't be doing this right now, where we're hitting 3 hours talking about the state of Shonen Jump. You know, I'd be working 12, 16-hour shifts in a server farm somewhere. You know, if I went to do like what I originally wanted to do and stuck with it as a kid, I'd be developing games. You know, I suck at coding. That's why I didn't keep with that. I can't code to save my fucking life.
If it was me, and I went with my first choice, I'd be driving trains because I was so obsessed with Thomas the Tank Engine when I was younger.
I'd be a Power Ranger,
driver.
Luke. I'd be a fucking Power Ranger if I went with my first choice as a kid.
But then I realized like maybe the fact that I have epilepsy and it's related to heat, maybe I shouldn't be driving around on trains.
I wanted to be the Green Ranger. That was my fucking goal as a kid, was to be specifically the Green Ranger.
I'll tell you this now. If it ever like the planets align or anything like that and I'm cast as one of the Power Rangers, you'll be one of the first to know.
That would be amazing. But like the point of having a backup is such a great topic for a manga too, you know? Because realistically mine would never fucking happen. You know, I could not technically be, I mean, I could be cast as the Power Ranger like you said. You know, I could be cast as the Green Power Ranger, you know, but realistically I could not have like a fucking dragon flute and summon a dragon sword, which is what my child brain wanted. I wanted to ride the dragon sword because the dragon sword was cool. That's why I wanted to be specifically the Green Ranger, and then I could date Kimberly, you know, because
well, it's kind of funny because I came up with my own because this was around the time when Power Rangers Wild Force was going on. I came up with my own Green Wild Force Power Ranger that had the crocodile sword.
That's fucking amazing. Oh my god. But like having a backup, you know, because Rakugo could be a performance art that dies out, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what the main guy who was initially set up as the main bad guy, but now that you see what he's all about, it's kind of like, okay, kind of makes sense. He kind of wants that art to stay alive, and he's trying to find the best of the best to keep it alive, especially in the younger generation.
And like in that younger generation, like there's not a lot of people that would be interested in that, because as you see, like the world is shifting so much. Like there's a study recently, like what is the job that you want to do? It was pulled towards like fucking high school kids, and 95% of that, I'm skewing the numbers immensely, like the vast majority of them wanted to be YouTubers, you know?
Yeah. And
like, there's not a lot of people that will have a desire to be in a traditional 9-to-5 job anymore, especially like in a post-COVID world. Like, you don't have a lot of desire for a lot of people to return to the desk. You don't have a lot of desire for people to like go back to like a traditional work environment because they like working from home. So that's the perfect career for people like that, is just sitting on their ass and creating content and making a brand for themselves and a name, you know? And like in a universe like Akane's, obviously like that's not totally the case, but you see like the younger generation being less and less interested in the ways of the past, and that's the theme that they're trying to tackle there. And with the past dying out, as more and more people, you know, go to more non-traditional careers, more non-traditional like lifestyles, they see like that generation is watching what they love die, and that's a very depressing fact for them. So trying to kind of get younger people back into those things is kind of the generation that we're in right now, even. You know, we're trying to drag more and more people into like traditional hobbies and try and revitalize a lot of these things that kind of were dying off. Like even trading card games are becoming more digitized and less popular in a traditional sense. Like us being a Yu-Gi-Oh channel, You know, kind of. The progression series will be returning, but like we're seeing it focus more and more on that digital era, and Rakugo can't really become a bunch of holograms.
No, it definitely can't.
You can't, resurrect Tupac and project him for like 75,000 people, and expect the same effect as that type of a concert, or you can't resurrect a fucking art form entirely created by ones and zeros. It wouldn't be the same to that generation. Although I feel like that's how a lot of things are going to be in the future. Like, we're going to have concerts inside the fucking metaverse, and that setting is going to die out, and I fucking hate it. Because you're already seeing a lot of artists, dip into that kind of shit.
Yeah, but yeah, I was trying to find while she was going through all that. I was trying to find because the guy had an interview in one of the chapters, and this is what he says: most people nowadays have never seen Rakugo. This is a grave situation in my mind. Just think about it. What future is there for performance art that fails to draw in new enthusiasts? In today's world, there's an overwhelming abundance of entertainment options, and we've got to do what we can to ensure Rakugo's culture flame doesn't burn out. And literally, someone is watching that interview on their phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see, that's the part where I'm torn, here, because that's such a very real and scary topic. And even as we exist here, this is a video that is 3 hours long now. We're just like a minute short of like 3 hours.
Oh God.
And that is a very real thing. Like, our content, or the way we view it, has changed so much in the last 5 years even. Like, we went from an era where people loved super long videos so they could throw on the Shion, don't you dare. My cat is being an asshole. You have had an era where people loved being able to throw long videos onto the background while they did shit, right? And then you got into the podcast format, where a lot of people liked 20, 30-minute videos and nothing more, nothing less. Then you got back into this, like, well, it's COVID, so I want long videos to sit in the background while I make my fucking, homemade bread. Or whatever dumb hobby that you never did 2 days later after you bought all the shit on Amazon because you're bored out of your fucking mind. You chose. So they could do those things and just kind of have a video on the background. Now you go back to an era where, like, our entertainment is 15-second long videos, basically.
Oh God, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, come on, you can watch some. You can watch something. It's basically
the
like,
annoying part is, Luke. The annoying part is the people that make the algorithm for these types of things realize that you're going to sit there longer watching 15-second videos because you're like, oh, dopamine, 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 dopamine. Because you're just flipping through them over and over and over again because you're like, oh, I watched that one. What's the next one? Oh, I watched that one. What's the next one? Because your brain is wired to grasp that initial concept so fucking quickly, but if it drags on too long, your retention span lessens. That's why there's a watch time retention statistic inside of YouTube, because that's how you know if you got somebody by the balls or they escaped, basically, to YouTube.
At this point, I can understand why 4Kids had all the funny accents.
Right, because the Amber Mammoth, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like that was Jesse.
No.
Or the boyo boyo for Kirby Right Back at You, or the hey kids, I'm Sonic for Sonic X. Like, that made kids want to sit down and watch it more, and versus sitting there and like you have this me talking into a mic for 3 hours like this and boring you to death about the state of Shonen Jump. Have you enjoyed this video? If you made it to this mark, drop potato in the comment section.
Please
I
do it.
really want to know how many people made it to 3 fucking hours on this video.
And if you like me being in these modcasts at this point, please drop a cup of tea in the comments.
Well, like, that will probably be watched by like 5 people. 5 people will actually do that thing.
Yeah. Pie Jams will be one of them because I know he does.
Or Charmy. Those will be 2 of them.
Yeah.
But like, speaking of things I've drug on way too fucking long,
My Hero Academia.
This series is the epitome of mid.
Yeah, I cannot deny that. Like literally, once we got to the end of the war arc and a character was killed off screen, I was just there thinking like, I can't wait for the My Heroes to do what the Bleach fans did.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what that means? You need 1 jar of lighter fluid and 1 match in all of your volumes of My Hero Academia. Recreate the meme, kids.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when people were just complaining about characters being off-screened.
Oh, you mean like Halibel?
Yeah.
And Shinji and like we're here and then we're gone. Yeah. Halibel is getting a Ronkar deck 24/7 right now.
Or people generally getting attached to a hero that really has less character development than the true person that has that title, the Shield hero.
Man, I want this manga done in like 3 months.
It'll probably literally like we're wrapping up the Shigaraki stuff. Literally after Shigaraki, there's only 2 more, possibly another one, one last one, but literally we are nearing the end.
Sorry, Super Eye Patch Wolf. Sorry,
Yeah.
Takane. Like, the series is done. And it can stay done. And I don't need a fucking Boruto of this, or a Shippuden of this, or anything of this. Like, this fandom in particular needs to die out. Like, when you have bullied a translator off of the internet, when you have harassed voice actresses, actors, you have sent fucking death threats to the author over character choices, you give manga fans a bad name. And there's so much more we will touch on about this in the Toxic Fandom tier list. Hey, get your pitchforks and your tiki torches ready. I live at blah 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 blah. Come get me. Because I'm going to fucking assassinate the character of a fandom.
Oh yeah, you can assassinate because I'm in the same boat of just like
I have seen firsthand what these fans are willing to do to the talent that is behind these fucking characters. Because I go to conventions and I've seen them outright harass fucking voice actresses firsthand because they didn't like the portrayal of a character, or the memes of like conga lining through the fucking security area to where like security is escorting your entire party out because you might have done something to the bags of a voice actress.
Yeah, and to that, if anyone came up to me and said stuff like that, I'll be like, okay, you take the reins, you do it.
I would love to see some of these fans write a series. But I like you said, there's not a whole lot left. There's like the all for one fight. There's Toga, and then we're done. Like basically, that's it after Shigaraki's done.
Yeah. You want to know what's funny? Now that I said that, it's because my mother has just recently been getting into doing guitar and ukulele, and even she said to me, "I do not know how you get up on stage and do it, Luke."
It's terrifying, especially like your first few times getting up on stage. It is the most terrifying thing in the world.
Yeah. So that's why I say to those people like, "Oh, you think you can do it better? Well, it looks like you've just volunteered that literal Flanders versus Homer Simpson clip. Oh, it looks like you've just volunteered me, but you were doing such a good job."
Right, and see, the thing that really gets to me like is like those those first few times you get up on stage is it doesn't matter if you've done it once, you've done it 10, 20 times. Like when you return to that, like I'm sure like post COVID for you, like getting back on stage, like even then, like because I hadn't performed in God, like it was before we made the channel. It was like right before we made the channel was the last time I played music with my old band, and getting back on stage, even for like a small venue, I'm like it's fucking like you're getting all those rushes of emotions just coming back to you. It's fucking the most nerve-wracking thing because you haven't felt those in so long. It's like that it's the first time all over again.
Oh yeah, for sure. It again, it's like the last show that I did. Like literally, I was one of the first people on stage.
Yeah, and being first on stage is even worse. Like my first performance like on a stage that wasn't like a high school or like a grade school play like where we sing the Christmas carols because God forbid we go a year without one of those. We're talking yeah, I had one of those every year and I had one of the fucking Irish shit because I grew up in an Irish town. So I had to sing like Somewhere Over the Rainbow and a bunch of shit for St. Patrick's Day. Like okay, cool. I get to not do math for 2 hours out of my day. But like aside from that, like my first performance was fucking Romeo and Juliet.
Oh boy.
I was Romeo. And,
oh my word! Oh
and
my
the
lord!
girl I fucking hated with all my heart at that
Was
point
Juliet?
was Juliet. And
that's gonna be like the worst nightmare.
like, there's no chemistry on stage other than we both wanted to kill each other because it was a mutual hatred.
Hey, at least that that could have
played
worked
in.
for Romeo. That could have worked for Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. Like, well, we both know how this ends. We kind of get to live this out, but not in the way we intend. But like that was my first performance, and like to me, I'm like, oh, I'm performing in front of my parents and a couple of like high school parents. And like the ironic part is her parents fucking hated me. I get my little kiss here. I'm just staring at her parents in the eye. Like, I fucking hate this, but I know you hate this more.
Yeah.
But like that was like the most douchey thing I did.
Yeah.
But like
yeah,
that's such a fucking unique feeling. I would love, the reason I brought that topic around is I would love to see 2 chapters, like 2 concurrent weekly chapters out of anyone that wants to bitch about any kind of manga ever.
Yeah, I want like I said on Twitter in regards to people who going back to the politics and and identity politics. I would love to write. I would love you guys to write something that has nothing, has no politics, no identity things or anything that you bitch about, and see how well it does.
Oh yeah, I'm a firm believer in like every series deserves to have its chance in the fucking spotlight. So if you are willing to write those and you are a critic of manga, I will read them on stream.
Yeah, I would as well, and I'm a firm believer of like, if you're willing to criticize something, put your money where your mouth is.
And very few people are willing to do that. There are very much indeed some creators that have tried to fucking do that too. Like,
yeah,
I look back to the rewrite of Attack on Titan. I hate using that as an example. They gave up pretty fucking quickly, didn't they?
yeah. I feel like one person that I always will respect is a fan fiction author called Wacky Biscuits.
Oh god.
Yeah, that was literally their name. Who, when Bleach ended, I was on the fence that Ichigo's sisters should have done more, and I said to her like, "Hey, can you write a fan fiction where it's instead of Uryu being steroid A, it's actually Yuzu being steroid A," and they actually pulled through with it.
Oh yeah. and I always go back to like they really should have done more with that because it was one of the most heavily foreshadowed things. Like they had their own unique powers,
Yeah.
and with Ichigo being the cum dump of the series, like literally he is a little bit of everything. That would be an interesting episode of Mori.
Yeah, and they actually gave a legitimate reason why Ryukin stayed out of most of the arc because his reasoning was that Ryukin was wanted by the Stone Raiders and didn't want to draw attention, otherwise he would have been killed.
Yep. Yeah, like
that's really all you needed.
Right? Like there's so much that could have been done with that final arc. I'm glad that we're getting a little bit of a more of an adaptation with the anime.
Yeah.
But I figure it'll be like the light novel stuff and like not a whole lot else outside of that.
I feel like we'll get more fights with the Stone Raider girls because Kubo did say in that interview he wanted to do more with them.
That leads us to the elephant in the room here, Luke.
What?
One Piece.
Oh God, One Piece. I think I've pretty much said my, for lack of a better word, piece with One Piece.
Yeah, I think just judging off of Oda, like we'll get 3 years of this. What is very interesting in this particular bit is this is definitively the end of that era of manga.
Oh yeah,
and
for
Jump.
sure.
And Jump at least. Like if I feel like maybe we could get it in like maybe a Kodansha imprint or a Wizard or something else. But I feel like Jump has very much strayed away from that 20-year series. And I think it's very much for the benefit of the magazine having that rotating cast because it keeps it fresh. But at the same time, it is very hard for anything to fucking catch on when you cancel something every other week.
Oh yeah, for definitely. I would love it if it was like, okay, you've done half a year. You're not doing too much. You get like 3 months to improve yourself. If you don't, so like you get at least a year in Jump before deciding whether or not to go.
And I feel like that gives a more definitive story. You get 52 chapters, you get basically 4 volumes, maybe 5, and you get to tell a story. You get to tell a story. You don't get to potentially tell the story you wanted to tell, like in its entirety, but you get to tell a story rather than trying to bum rush everything in the last 5 chapters. Because I feel like that's where a lot of potential OVA style anime end up getting fucked over because you don't get a chance to tell the whole story as it's intended. Like Phantom Seer could get that, like an OVA.
It could, but
I doubt it will.
I doubt it will because, like I've said before, the misconception with Phantom Seer is that people saw 100,000 copies in circulation, but that wasn't the actual number that they actually sold.
Yep. So, like, I feel like the last thing we really, from Weekly Shonen Jump itself anyway, is Sakamoto Days. And this is the interesting one, because it just got the anime announcement.
Yeah, but also, just one last thing on One Piece. Potentially now, we won't be seeing a One Piece Kai where they cut out all the filler because Luffy's voice actress has come out and said, like, once One Piece ends, she wants to retire.
And can you blame her?
Yeah, I can't blame her.
She has voiced that role for 20 fucking years at this point.
Yeah, so that's why she said, like, after Luffy, I'm done. And she's like, she's getting on a bit. She's like in a, she's.
It's like the OG author or the OG voice actor for Goku. Like she's old. Like she's had a full career at this point.
Yeah, Luffy's voice actress is like 67.
I forget how old Goku's voice actress is. She's old as hell.
Yeah,
she was here a couple years ago for a Comic-Con, not in my city, but like in I think it was like Motor City Comic-Con. I think she was here ish in this area in this circuit that our same con production crew works with. So like, but that was pre-COVID, obviously. But like with Sakamoto Days, like it's an interesting scenario because this is potentially going to be the long runner for a while after Yo's fam dies.
Well, yeah, Also, as well, just you want to know exactly how old Goku's voice actress is?
73.
85.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing a lot of Kong appearances right now.
No. I feel like they need to
Find a
put,
replacement.
either find a replacement or put Goku to bed.
I mean, if Toriyama had to say, he would be, but
Yeah.
allegedly.
But yeah. Anyway, back to Sakamoto Days.
Yeah, I really don't want to drag this on too much longer. But like we're talking about days, like there is, like with it being that interesting middle ground here, because we have all the veterans exiting, like your One Piece, your My Hero, your fucking Marshall, all that, Black Clover, JJK, like all of those exiting. Like we're relying mostly on Yo's fam for a while, and then Sakamoto Days for a little bit longer to be those front runners for Jump.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that like also feel like they're starting to get into in-game territory, like Undead, like you said, a few others. Sakamoto Days doesn't feel like that at all. Like it very much feels like it could drag on for a good long time. It could be a strong trendsetter in like that mid-length manga series, like that 400 500 chapter series kind of realm, you know.
Yeah.
And it is, as of this week, at 82. So I can see that being another 3-4 years as well, just in its story alone. But I don't picture it staying past like a 500 chapter mark.
Oh no. I like I said, with Witch Watch, I feel like 400 is probably going to be the maximum moving forward for any series, because then that's like haiku length, and that went on for 8 years. So I feel like 8 years for one series, I feel like that's more than enough.
Yeah, I feel like with that wrapping up the main Jump, I feel like we'd be kind of remiss to not mention a couple other series here.
Yeah.
Well, my cat howls like a fucking psychopath because she wants wet food and she just had wet food. So Kaiju 8. I have not consumed a whole lot of the series, but I know it is kind of a Jump Plus phenomenon.
Yeah, I've not consumed any of it, but people talk in length about it.
I wasn't a big fan of like the first couple chapters of it, so I kind of let it sit by the wayside, and now I feel like appreciating Kaiju a lot more now after doing even like the podcast about the Monsterverse and like the Godzilla forms and all that shit. Like I have loved Kaiju for a long time, but like diving into that massive fucking 4.5 hour podcast with Andrew, that was really fun, and kind of made me want to go back and reread that and kind of give a little bit more of an update on that. But with it just getting an anime announced here recently, I feel like this might have another 2 years. There's a lot you can do with the kaiju genre, but I don't feel like this has the staying power of staying overly long, especially like in Jump Plus and how they handle series. I feel like it'll be like that middle of the round, almost like Abyss Rage length by the time it's done. Chainsaw Man Part 2. Obviously, we've been covering this over on Chaos Squared. Check it out if you made it this far in the video. We're doing weekly chapter discussions on that like we used to do here. I feel like we've promoted that enough at this point anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
I picture Part 2 being around the same length as Part 1, like 11 volumes.
I did initially figure that, but then I thought, like, well, if we're going down this rabbit hole of doing parts 3, of doing Part 2,
and JoJoing it, let's call it what it is.
Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing: is that we call it Part 2, but then Fujimoto's not really calling it Part 2, because it's because the volume
it's continuing from 12. Yeah, I saw that.
From 12. So
I mean, it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh was broken into like arcs. Like you had like Yu-Gi-Oh Part 1, you had like Duelist, and then you had Millennium World.
Yeah, because you had like the original Yu-Gi-Oh like part, which was like 52 chapters,
Mm-hmm.
and then you
Season
had
0.
Season 0, and then you had like the original Yu-Gi-Oh up until Battle C, which was like 200 and odd.
Mm-hmm. It was 200 and I believe 23.
Yeah.
From
So
that
it pretty
point.
much had the Doctor Stone length.
Yeah.
Then you had Millennium World. So
And Millennium
feel
World
like-
drug on for another like 100 and some chapters.
yeah, I feel like I would give it maybe a little bit longer than part 1, possibly around, I'd say 110. So it's not overly long.
Okay, I can see that one.
Yeah.
Don.
It just I was just gonna say it just depends on how long Fujimoto's gonna drag
yeah.
not showing Denji.
See, I like I said in the last chapter discussion, I feel like this moment here is possibly going to be setting up like the Denji bit.
Yeah.
But
It's-
we could also just have Yoshida and crew come in and can run gangbusters on this fucking Bat Devil too.
Yeah. It's funny because it seems like very very deliberately paralleling how the Wizard of Oz was set up. How you just had the Wizard of Oz in the background for most of it and didn't show up until the end.
Yeah, it's very much going down that road, and I kind of like that style he's writing this one in. But I could see it going like that. I could also see it being a shorter part and then part 3. But we have the War Devil here, so like War you would think would be a longer arc than like Famine or Death.
I am still waiting for the Lonely Devil and the Unknown Devil to show up.
Fear of the Unknown definitely would be popular in the South.
Because that would be, I've said it before, that's pretty much a primal fear, the fear of the unknown.
Oh yeah, it is. Trust me.
Yeah, and the fear of being alone itself is pretty much a primordial one.
Yeah, those are both like really like dick kicks of fears. Like I feel those ones a lot. Don to Don though, like on the parallel here, it kind of taking the roots from the Sensei kind of thing. I feel like this could wrap up around the 90-ish 100 chapter mark.
Yeah,
Like,
especially with how wacky and wild it is. Like I've only been skimming through it, but I'm just like, what is this series? What is this series trying to be?
Oh yeah, it's very much that. I got 3 chapters I need to read, 66 to 60. But we're on the track of the second ball. I mean, that's kind of like one of the end goals here.
Okay.
So like,
unless his balls come to life.
In this fucking series, who knows? Like, we could be fighting a giant cockiness in 2 chapters. I don't know. I have given up trying to predict Don to Don. Yeah. I am just along for the acid trip like fucking Fooly Cooley. But I enjoy the hell out of it. But I feel like plot-wise, we could end up at like around 100 chapters-ish.
Yeah.
Can you not use me as a step stool, Shion, and just lay down on the bed and be a good girl? Can you do that? No, do not dump the laundry basket. Do not dump the laundry basket. We have 3 other series here wrapping up pretty regularly. We have Seraph of the End, Twin Star Exorcist, and Blue Exorcist. All are ending fairly soon-ish. Or it seem like they're going to be ending fairly soonish. Those are like, I believe, monthly series. And like I said, we just had the 7-year arc wrap up in One Punch Man. Go fucking ask a genie how long that manga is going to last, because I'm not giving a damn prediction for that one. The way one's stretching that one out. I feel like Seraph of the End, Twin Star Exorcist, and Blue Exorcist could all end within the next year and a half.
Yeah.
Blue Exorcist, took a nice little chunky break there for a while. I would very much love for Boruto to end in the next 3 months. And Dragon Ball Super, I would love to stay forever, just to annoy Charmy. Just to annoy Charmy.
No, the thing that I want to annoy Charmy with is him hyping up Charmy getting her backstory in the dwarves, and it's never gonna happen.
That would be ass if that doesn't happen though. Like I agree with him there. Like that does need to happen. We have not seen anything from the dwarfs really. That is something that needs to happen in Black Clover. I need at least
As much-
something there.
Yeah, as much as I would like it more just to see the look on Charlie's face.
Oh yeah, it just to be like what the fuck? They ended it. It's like a mid-series now. Like my waifu did not get all of her character development because they did not explore the backstory of the dwarves.
Yeah. But also another series that looks like it's reached its end point as well is Eden Zero.
Okay, well I mean it's
Yeah.
not Jump, but like I'm
no,
very
it
glad.
Is. It is. Well, it's not a Jump, but it's in like Shueisha, like Weekly Shonen magazine.
Oh Jesus, I thought it was fucking Kodansha.
Oh no, it is Kodansha. Sorry, but
Okay.
it's published in Weekly Shonen magazine.
Yeah.
But yeah, based on what I've seen from the spoilers on Twitter, yeah, it looks like reaching an end game point.
Yay! Mashima can retire.
I don't think he is going to retire. I think he'll come out with another series.
Just make porn. Just make porn, my guy. Like you very much love like objectifying women in your series. Just make porn, and I will sit here and I will jack off to it. I'm not going to deny it. Like the man knows how to draw a body. That's why I honestly thought like he was a hentai artist, like fucking Boichi. Like for the longest time, like I thought because he knows anatomy down to his science. Mashima does.
Oh, can you imagine if Boichi and Hiro Mashima did a collab together?
Hey yo, gimme.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing of why I want a because of what you said about like with Boichi. That's the thing of like why I want him to do like a space epic just because of the way he drew space in Dr. Stone.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he would have an absolute field day with that.
Right, like it was like just for those who don't know, like Dr. Stone's spacescapes felt like the like world exploration panels that fucking Togashi draws for the Dark Continent. Like they're like the vastness and openness of space is the most terrifying thing about it. And he captured that perfectly when he drew that shit.
Yeah.
And then the same thing like the unknown for the Dark Continent is like the very terrifying thing about that. And you see Togashi able to fucking create like that fear of the unknown with how he draws the Dark Continent in that fucking arc. So I would very much love to see Boichi Space Epic. The man knows what he's doing when it comes to art, and that's why I respect him. I just don't think he's going to do a Dr. Stone spinoff.
Yeah, I don't think he. As much as I'd love for it, I'm still keeping it realistic. But I would love for it to happen. And again,
The man has like what 4 series in publication right now.
I don't think he has anything in publication at the moment. He did one series, but he dropped that after like 3 chapters. It was like a cooking series, but I don't know why he dropped it only after 3 chapters. It's Inagaki. Inagaki's got that new series Trillion Game, which is more like to do with like poker.
Yeah, it's like
and
gambling. It's Kakiguri, but make it masculine, I believe.
But one of the other reasons why I respect Boichi a lot as well is just because of the fact that he responded to me on Twitter.
Oh, the dude is one of the most active artists on there. I'm just pulling his thing up. Japanese works. One Piece episode A artwork. He was there. He did Origin. Origin's over. Korean work.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I've just got to say this now. I just want a One Piece Dot Stone crossover with Suika and Chopper because of the fact that their favorite food is cotton candy.
Oh, God.
Because that's actually been revealed in the fan book what Suika's favorite food is.
Oh my God, yeah. So the Trillion Game is the last thing that Inagaki is working on. It looks like he was Boichi's working on a webtoon thing.
Yeah.
Now, which that's a a whole mess of its own thing. And Inagaki's not that old either. Like,
No,
neither's-
they're not that. They're really not that old. Inagaki and Boichi. So I could definitely see Boichi doing like maybe something akin to Sunken Rock, but in space.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But I think that kind of wraps a lot of this up, because we've talked on a lot of them. What has actually ended this year though? That's what I'm trying to find. Ayashimon was one of them.
I'll go on the actual
Website.
I'm gonna go on the wiki page and see.
Yeah. Viz.com. Because there's definitely been a lot that has ended this year. That's why I kind of want to weigh in on that. Because we had... Shugamaru ended.
Oh yeah, I really could not get into that. It was that one chapter was just like the most boring thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't get past chapter 1 either. Ayashimon ended.
Yeah. Here we go. So we've got Protect Me Shugamaru, Ayashimon, and that's it. That's really it. Just them two.
Magu-chan technically ended May 1st with the 77.1.
Oh right, yeah. Magu-chan.
Yeah, it ended in February. The
Yeah, I've
actual
just
run.
seen that.
But
Oh yeah, and Dr. Stone ended this year. But that was already done, right? I think we've all done our retrospects on Dr. Stone.
yeah, like the last series that ended before that was like November 2021. That was Niru and Red Hunter.
Yeah, which Red Hood only survived because of, as you put it, when the hentai devil was brought in, the mummy milkers.
Oh yeah, it was very much carried by fan art. Like that series was prime waifu material for a lot of people. Like you had the fucking muscle woman, you had fucking like the whole like heat aspect of her power just fueling like Rule 34 for... Nope, get up there. You're not jumping on me. Just get up there. You had like that fueling like Rule 34 for a good 2-3 weeks straight, just with porn of her. And then Niru was just like a mess.
Yeah, Niru didn't know what it wanted to be.
It tried to be a school manga. It tried to be a martial arts manga. It tried to be a combat manga. It tried to be so many different things. And you know, when you're a jack of all trade, you're a master of none.
Yeah, I know this ended in 2021, but I feel like it needs to be taught. ITLC being like one of the most, being like one that had an interesting premise, but just really dropped the ball.
It very much dropped the ball, and I very much tried to get into that because I love Psychopaths. I know that technology is sort of kind of problematic, you know, being able to tell like if somebody will ever have a disposition to become a criminal. It's very dystopia fueled, and I love that genre. I love cyberpunk stuff. So because as much as that tech is very much becoming a realistic side effect of reality moving forward, I've always loved that kind of story. I grew up, my uncle's favorite movie was Blade Runner and Dune. Those were two things that I had imbued in my fucking blood from my uncle. And Blade Runner was like my like forefront into like the cyberpunk aspect of reality, you know, or pseudo reality science fiction. And like the farther we progress as a society, you see more and more of those things that were thought to never be able to be made. Like self-driving cars, for example. You know, AIs running entire websites, that kind of shit.
And also trying to petrify the entire world.
or you know, putting artists out of a job.
Yeah.
But like you very much would think that would be a series that I would love. I read one chapter of it on stream, and I just could not. There could not have been a less likable first chapter for a sci-fi series in my life. And I tried again and again to try and get into it and be like, where is the message here? And it really just didn't click. So
It was like one of those series that, like we were saying before, that literally seems like someone who hated all the identity politics and everything like that, and just wanted to write a series and didn't have anything to offer.
yeah, it's unfortunate because that was something that I thought would be a really cool premise. And that's very much a good way of putting it. But like, it felt like it was a one shot they got too long too, kind of like Earthchild. The
Yeah.
other one that ended last year was Bill King, and like that one went on for too long for a canceled series.
Yeah.
So you had that aspect of it carrying on for way too long, and dragging for what seemed to be like author favoritism. Because
Yeah.
you had a returning author that had a very successful series, and Toriko, they kind of want to give them a chance, kind of like they gave Kishimoto. So I'm just like, it seems like they give those returning authors a lot more leeway. I wonder if now at this point, if Fujimoto stops writing in manga for a while, comes back, if he get the same treatment for a objectively bad series.
He probably would.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing, because at that point you're showing favoritism just because you know this person has created success in the past. Not every idea is a 10 out of 10. So I'm hoping that as we move on and we evolve this era of Jump that seeming to be kind of more open and free as we wrap this video up at 4 fucking hours.
Flaming Nora.
We could stretch this out forever, but I'm not going to. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
We beat Eye Patch Wolf's length. We did it. We did it, boys. Let's pretend like that's what we want to do.
Yay!
Let's pretend like that's what we want to do. And it's not that we just had a lot to talk about because we haven't filmed in probably 3 weeks at this point. But we had so many authors that had a great premise that just got not far enough. That I'm hoping that we actually get an era where they allow those authors to have just as much of a chance as those returning ones. And I feel like this is going to be the era to test it that we're in right now, because we'll have Horikoshi leaving, we'll have Geij leaving, we'll have Mash's author leaving, and we'll have Oda leaving, all relatively quickly. And we'll have Tabata leaving, who's like a bona fide seller at this point. We'll have 5 veteran authors that could always come back and write another series. I don't think Oda's going to write another damn thing in his life. But
no.
If he does, that would be the ultimate test, you know? Because, like, this is a man that moved past Batman and Superman in popularity with One Piece. Like, he literally has outsold Warner Brothers' top comics at this point. DC's top comics. Which feels weird saying Warner Brothers. I will never get used to that. But then again, like, I don't think he's going to write it. So it would fall to, like, Horikoshi at that point. Like, if he wrote a mid-series, how long would it last? Because I really hate this preferential treatment that Jump does. But I guess we'll know in the next, like, 3-5 years, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like all of these authors are going to want to take a good long rest after writing consistently for this long.
Yeah, I feel like Horikoshi will probably be one of the ones that does want to take the longest rest.
Yeah, and I do not blame him. But with that, like, we'll revisit this around December and see how close we were, or if anything got added, axed. If we were complete fucking idiots and One Piece ended in 3 months, I know that. And you never know. You never know in the world of manga. So I feel like the end of December, mid of December, we'll drop that podcast somewhere in there, like as a follow up, and then basically continue from there for the duration of, well, if whichever dies first, the channel or Shonen Jump, because I need sleep at this point. I've had maybe 6 hours in 2 days.
I don't blame you.
The 3 hours and 38 minutes is the final timestamp. Peace, everyone.
Peace.